the beginning.
And I was shown that that Lucifer would return, that the UN and the Vatican were going to be completely behind it, again, under false pretenses. He's going to show up and say, I'm here to save the day, right? And, okay, fine, you know.
Yeah, of course,
ahead,
you can say
it.
whatever you want. But I've always hated censorship. It's the internet.
Sometimes, you know, once they get you for your first love bite, well, it depends on how aware you are, right?
I forgot my bullets. I never had a gun. Here I am left standing. Am I the only one? For what I see, memories have gifted me. I'll never see the sun.
First of all, as you know, the Anunnaki and the Draco are enemies. Second of all, underneath Baghdad was a stargate that was created by the Anunnaki so that they could transfer from Jupiter to the Earth.
I'll never see the sun. I could just end it all, but the demons will have won.
Practitioners that, you know, some are good and some use their magic for good and to heal and to help, and others do use it for evil. And, you know, in some cases, you know, people really were.
This is too much sometimes.
From the beginning.
From the broken ruins of Babylon, this is End of Days Radio. I'm your host, Daniel, broadcasting to you all the way from the shimmering Emerald City, right here in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. Hello, and how are you? Sorry, just adjusting my mic a little bit, my camera more specifically. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while since we've done a show, and I do apologize, but my life has just gone to shit. I don't know any other way to explain it, but I will get into that after our guest, like we always do during our wrap-up period of our show. I did want to remind you that today's date is actually Sunday, March 27th, 2022. We are long past the famous 2/22/22 date, and we know what happened there, right? We had war the next day. War is brewing. The horseman of war has been unleashed, just like I have been unleashed upon these airwaves. Ha ha ha. I want to remind everybody to go to the website. From there, you can get a schedule of upcoming shows. You can read stuff, and you can, of course, join our Discord. Always looking for more members of that Discord channel. Just go to endofdaysradio.com and click on that link. Today's guest is none other than New York Patriot from the well-acclaimed Occult Rejects podcast. Probably one of the most major upcoming or already having come up paranormal, occult, magic, conspiracy, fringe types of podcasts out there. I'm sure he's going to explain himself what his specific vision is, but the fact of the matter is that people like this show. They like Occult Rejects. They like New York Patriot. We tried to do a show with him a few weeks ago. Didn't work out. We were having some technical issues to everyone's chagrin. There was much lamentation about that. But here we are once again, trying to do this again. So let's go ahead and bring him on and see what he has to say.
Hey, what's going on, man?
There he is. It's New York Patriot.
going on? I hear no echo this time.
Yeah, simple fix. There was just a little box I needed to click. Shout out to Andy from Pod Trash for jumping on with me after that show, helping me do a little bit of technical work and sniff out the issue. And here we are live, and Patriot smoking a blunt.
Yeah, no, well, it's a joint. It's a raw paper, so it looks like a blunt.
Oh, nice.
I'm still smoking.
Nice. Can you pass that through the screen and over to my Yeah, I wish. It's all right. I'm gonna wait until after the show before I get completely hammered.
Yeah,
Like,
well, you're the one who's you're the one who's hosting the show, so you want to be able to do it, right?
Yeah. I'll get stoned first when I go on your show.
There you go. I would hope you would. Thank you.
Yes. So you've been busy lately. You've been a busy bee.
Yeah. Working on both shows. Yeah, definitely is.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that you're doing another show with Lee from Subconscious Realms.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like on Fridays, Friday mornings, we have like a thing where we call it like Freaky Fridays, and it's kind of like both of our shows come together, and we try to get guests on to it could cover anything from like even what you were saying with the Occult Rejects, anywhere from paranormal, weird experiences to magic, occultism, just anything that is considered, I guess, weird or people that people don't quite understand, something like that.
Yeah, it's hard to define ourselves sometimes because, like my show, you kind of cover everything, but you like to go deep into the darkness, deep into the forbidden realms where others fear to tread, where others dare not step foot,
where angels dare to tread.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I hit the spot right there. Just gave me a mental gasm. That's what we did.
I got that phrase. I got that phrase from like some like heavy metal band I used to like back in the day. I didn't even make that.
Oh, really? I like that. Are you metalhead?
I mean, I still do listen to some metal. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I mean, that was my thing before I got into electronic music. But I mean, I still love both. But I was definitely growing up in high school. I was all about heavy metal and shit for sure.
So like Metallica, Anthrax, stuff like that.
Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer. Who else was big? I was big at Solitude Eternus. King Diamond, believe it or not, as silly as he kind of looks and is, and he's an open Satanist too. But even I liked his back then, you know.
Did
like you said, yeah.
Did the love of heavy metal music, did that influence you later on when you started to get more into the occult?
You know, that's actually a really good question, and I think I had someone. They didn't quite ask me that, but I think during the episode going on about certain things that maybe led me getting into magic, I was like, you know what? I think I could probably actually tie it back to, I mean, maybe before listening to metal music, but I definitely think that metal music, listening to that stuff did open me up to thinking that there's something dark out there. Because I mean, like some of the stuff that they're singing about, I mean, just looking at what they're saying, you could be like, damn, like, you know, this is dark topics kind of. So yeah, metal music definitely, I think, opened me up to believing that there's something other than that.
That's really interesting because,
you know, or other than like the world that I've been brought up, like other than like, you know, the Catholic or Christian belief that I was brought up in, metal music did definitely make me think that there was something else out there besides, you know, Jesus and I guess whatever, you know.
Yeah, definitely. The reason I asked that is because, I mean, I myself, I have really tried to look into everything that I could in regards to the music industry and how it might be connected to certain things. And it's so vast. It's just an endless sea of this type of stuff, of ties to the occult. And you got people like Jimmy Page. You could write a whole book just about his interest in the occult and all the freaky stuff that's gone on around him and his Crowley collection and his
he owned, I think he owned, God, I already forgot the name of the house. He owned whatever, his house on Loch Ness, I think, for a little bit. Crowley's house on Loch Ness.
Yeah. Is it called boy, I don't want to throw the wrong name out.
I know, right? I totally forgot somehow. My brain fart. I mean, it burnt down, I think, anyway, but Jimmy Page definitely did own it for a while.
Absolutely. Led Zeppelin itself, like a lot of the lyrics are very Lord of the Rings inspired, very mystical. Like,
I mean, you know what's funny? Even if, let's say, Led Zeppelin or Jimmy Page doesn't come out and say anything, I've heard David Bowie do interviews. Now he is somebody who's a little bit more open about him being into the occult. I mean, he puts it all over his shit. You can't really hide that too much. I was listening to an interview of him, and he was saying at one point Jimmy Page was so paranoid for some reason, thinking that David Bowie was attacking him magically and psychically.
whoa.
Yeah. Jimmy Page was like paranoid, thinking that for some reason David Bowie was doing all this. That David Bowie admits that he says he sent him a jar of piss and I think fingernails or toenails and mailed it to Jimmy Page and said, if you really think I'm doing something to you, I'm giving you this. This is part of me. You can do whatever you got to do to think you got to protect yourself from me.
Holy
Because
crap.
like, he even knew this dude is out of his mind. Maybe he's on a coke binge or whatever with Led Zeppelin, and this dude thinks I'm attacking him, and I'm not. So
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
like that shows you right there that I mean, they were both into shit.
if it was David Bowie, I would not mess with that guy because I could just look at him and I could tell he has magic powers.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, I definitely think so. I think he tried telling a lot of people a lot of stuff on his last album before he left.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to look into that. I mean, that's fascinating. And one movie that really kind of inspired me to look more into this stuff. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called American Satan.
No.
Oh man, you got to see that one. That one is just like the story about the band that moves to Los Angeles and makes a deal with the devil.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. But I imagine this type of scenario has probably played out many times. Of course, not so simplistically, but so many of these bands, like even somebody like Eminem, you see pictures of him
Yeah.
where he's like covering one eye, or there's a picture of him where he's got his little coin from the rehab and he's like covering one eye with it, and it's got a triangle on it, kind of to represent his rehab. And it's something. He's trying to hint at us with something, but what are the implications of that if somebody like him and all these other singers and pop artists and people like that are tied to something beyond our control? That would mean that we're literally inside some kind of game preserve or matrix system.
Yes, for sure. I know. I agree with that. I think people like that, in my honest opinion, for the most part, I'm not saying everybody, because I'm not, that's a little too much, but for the most part, I think people that are well known and famous, or like, what I guess famous, and are good at what they do, neither they're controlled or they do, well, controlled and or they're into some sort of type of magic, regardless if it's just through meditation and not a secret society and not actually setting up an altar and out there doing the whole ritual and all that stuff. They all have their own ways, in my opinion, to tapping into, or literally seeing this. This is why I wear this shirt. That's the black sun. At some point, they are able to see that, and they get their inspiration from wherever, and it fuels them and drives them to be good at what they do, and that's how they end up becoming known. Also,
So that's a very positive, I think, way of looking at the occult. Whereas
yes,
many
there's two
people,
sides to that. There's two sides to the occult. I think you were saying it in your introduction. There was something about it. It's not always, and that's the thing I really do want to drive home with magic and occultism. It all depends on the person and the intention. You can become an amazing person and give amazing gifts to the world and humanity with magic, or you can manipulate people and do horrible things.
yeah, I'd say I've run into both types of individual. I've run into people that inspired me and made me feel more powerful, made me have more personal power. And then I felt like I've met others that just seem to want to drain me, feed off of me, make me hate
A
myself.
psychic vampire.
Yeah, exactly. And you think, well, maybe this is like a microcosm, a smaller, lesser version of something bigger that's going on out there. Perhaps this occult battle of good versus evil is playing out on the grandest stage of them all, the world itself. Perhaps
I
that
agree with that to an extent. Actually, I do believe there is some sort of a way, like what you're saying, a battle. It definitely is a good and a bad side.
That might be closer to the truth than anything else we come across here.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever see the movie that? Oh, not the. It's not a movie. The series, The Dome. It's an old one, but it was written by Stephen King.
Boy, I'm pretty sure I've at least seen scenes from it if I have not actually seen it.
Okay.
Is that the one where at the end the roof sort of breaks and you see the mechanical parts, or am I thinking of the Hunger Games?
Oh, that's even another great example. But no, I think you're thinking of the Hunger Games. But in that show, The Dome, and I do believe it or not, just from being in the O.T.O and through my own magical experiences and studying occultism, I do believe in a dome. I'm not sure about flat Earth, but I do believe that there is a dome. In that show, The Dome, there is at one point, people realize there is a dome. And not everybody realizes there's a dome. So at one point, the whole thing was the people that were kind of in charge at first were like, well, do we tell people there is one? Because then how are people going to react? Or do we tell them the truth? And then it came down to, well, do we keep it up? Or do we want to break it down? If we break it down, how do we know it may not fall and actually kill people and hurt people, but yet it's setting us free? I actually believe in some sense that it might actually be a factor in the way things are going today anyway, already.
And this kind
or behind magic itself. Like, do we not? There's times, in my opinion, where I think shit might be coming through and either they want to stop it from happening or they want to make up reasons for why. Like for all we know, let's say nuclear war, atomic bombs or these nuclear bombs do not exist, but it's something coming from the other side hitting our Earth. We would make up a fake war to say that that's why that devastation happened. I'm not saying that that's happened, but I'm just making that's like an easy way to explain what I'm getting at. That's come through the fucking dome, and we have to make up reasons why because we don't want to tell people it's there.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor, mainly because I've had that sort of discussion coming up a lot lately, with Russia and Ukraine and all that. People are very worried about nuclear war, but I mean, there's so much obfuscated mystery surrounding nuclear weapons and how exactly they detonate. That information isn't out there for all of us, so it places them more in the realm of fantasy or conspiracy, yet we all seem to believe for the most part that they are very real and a threat to our very existence.
I mean, put it this way, and one, I don't know if are you much of a David Lynch or Twin Peaks type of fan or anything like that?
Kind of. I mean, I've seen some of the movies, and I know that there's, from coming across various things that you've told me before, things that are just beyond freaky with him and his movies and the people surrounding them. So I understand that there is an enormous rabbit hole there, but I'm not an expert on that one.
All right. Well, him during interviews himself, and there is in season 3, episode 8, he does show the atomic bomb or like the day or whatever. But he himself said that he thinks one of the worst things to ever happen to humanity, he said, is that, how conveniently when TVs started getting cheaper and they were more obtainable for people to have, and tons of people started having them in the house, we televised, and somehow this camera made it through the whole fucking blast. We televised what a fucking atomic bomb looks like. He says himself, the amount of fear that ripped through humanity from seeing that was one of the worst things that could have happened. Now, just think if that shit ain't real. We're believing it and thinking it's coming from a bomb. You have no idea. You really don't.
Yeah, that's really freaky. I have tried my best to figure out whether or not they are real or not. I've looked at some of the science behind it, as hard as it is to kind of figure out. And a good point that was made is that the idea that you can cause a chain reaction and just like create energy out of nothing and nowhere, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like,
I mean, listen, even if they are real, them televising it like that, in my opinion, was still just to scare people.
yeah. And if you look at who's doing it, it's the United States, which uses a lot of propaganda, and Russia, same thing. China releases a lot of that stuff. I don't know if they've done nukes, but they've done like moon landings and things like that. I'm not sure if you can trust any of the major three superpowers. It almost seems sometimes like,
You want to talk about how like the news uses propaganda? And I'll make this quick. It's just something that I think people should hear and they need to know.
yeah, go ahead.
Especially what's going on right now, because it was something that we covered real recently. If you happen to be watching the mainstream media and they are showing you footage from Ukraine, please pay attention and watch. A lot of times, and most of the times, if the news station didn't film it themselves, they will tell you right on the screen where they're receiving the footage from. I've seen CNN, I've seen MSNBC, and yes, I hate to say it, I've seen Fox. All use a lot of their footage saying it's coming from Mariupol by Azov. The Azov battalion is an openly far-right neo-Nazi group. And they are into occultism, and they have the same symbol that the 19th Panzer Nazi Division tanks used as their logo with the trident on that fucking flag. So what I'm getting at is that you have a far-right occult neo-Nazi battalion that if you look into them, they claimed their power on their own. They were not voted in. They declared themselves their National Guard. You have those people supplying footage to the news about what's going on in Ukraine. You have occultists and Nazis providing the footage to show you what's going on in Ukraine. That is a problem. So I'm just leaving it at that. Pay attention. If it says Azov, go look these people up. No joke. Them and Right Sector is another one you will receive film from on our news coming from there. They are open Nazis. And somehow, from World War II, we went against war with them. Somehow now our country is paying them and supporting them. It is madness.
that is incredibly frightening. I mean, when this first broke out, I was like everybody else. I was like, oh my God, those poor children, those poor people.
Yo,
This
there's
is
soldiers
awful.
wear the same symbol that's inside of Himmler's fucking castle on the floor in the middle of his ceremonial area. That same thing looks like a multi swastika, the black
Yeah.
sun. They're wearing that. They are wearing that symbol that's on them is the middle of a swastika with just two parts missing. They are fucking openly, and they are neo-Nazis that took their own, like they declared themselves something. The government didn't make them anything. Nobody voted them in. They somehow popped up with fucking gear, guns, outfits, and said, we are what we are. Who the fuck gave them the money to do that too? There is some real fucked up occult shit going on right now with this.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like World War II, in my opinion.
Yeah, like the flag I got flying back there, the skull and bones. That's a Masonic symbol, just like skull and bones. And I'm not a Nazi. I hate Nazis, but the skull and bones is connected to Nazism.
And I'm even going to say this: it does even if people want to argue that these people are left or the right of that, blah blah blah, whatever it is. I'm going to say right now, a Nazi, in my opinion, going by what we've seen in World War II and what we're seeing right now, regardless of the person who's wearing that outfit and doing whatever they're doing, if they know it or not, they are just being used to project a specific image that is going to instill fear. That's it. I mean, it could be real, the stuff that we're seeing, but those people are being used, in my opinion, ceremonially, like in a magic sense, regardless of what their ideologies are.
Okay, we got a question from the chat. Do you guys think it's really two warring factions, or are they all on the same side appearing as two?
I have often thought that see, this is what I'm getting at, and why I'm saying that, like, a Nazi itself, I think, just in my opinion, is just a name to slap on an occult thing going on. You know what I'm saying? I think it could just be like, this is what we're using to get what we want, like what heaven is here is saying exactly. They're all on the same side. It's just we're projecting an image to the world to give a reason why something happens, or why we want things to change, or why we're getting money for this and that. You know, it's a fucking like how does he say it? Shakespeare said, the whole world is just a play, whatever all that crap is.
Yeah, I think we got to look at the Rothschilds too, who are famous for funding both sides of the war. There's definitely something like that going on. I mean, I don't know the specifics, but as far as us all being on the same side, or them being on the same side, I think they're on the same side and they're all kind of against us, the poor people.
Yo, you know what's crazy? Think about this. You remember when this whole thing with COVID was going down? Now, the people didn't ask. In my opinion, I was never asked a poll or anything, or nobody ever called and asked me. When the government decided itself to shut down the country, when they took that stance and decided to just tell everybody to do it, regardless if we wanted them to or not.
Yeah.
They did that, and now how long and how many weeks and how much debating did it take for when they came up with the idea for a stimulus check? Some of them, if you followed the news, they were debating about it for fucking weeks, right?
Yeah.
But $1 billion to fucking Ukraine, fucking days. That's a fucking problem.
Yeah, and another good point is the immigrants. We're welcoming them in with open arms. Meanwhile, a lot of people were complaining about Hispanic immigrants for a long time, and it was a big fuss. Regardless of where you stand on the issue, the fact that all of a sudden we're okay with it, the Hispanics have been having to deal with the cartels who are chopping their heads off and killing their kids in front of them. It's just as bad as anything going on in Eastern Europe. So a lot of hypocrisy going on out there.
Oh, God. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, a comment from Al. I should actually verbalize this because people can't all see that. Ukraine is Putin mopping up the deep state to stop the New World Order so we can watch the Antichrist show. I'm not sure if I totally agree with that. That's a possibility, but it seems to me like maybe Putin is just like one faction of the New World Order or something like that. I know there's a lot surrounding the church, and it has something to do with the Eastern Orthodoxy versus the standard Vatican. So there's something going on there that I'm not going to pretend like I totally understand, but there's stuff going on, and I believe that it links to the Book of Revelations. But that's hard to say too, because no matter what's going on, people somehow always find a way to tie it to the Book of Revelations. So I'm not really, I'm not really sure what is going on, and I'm not sure if that's okay. I feel like I should know more, but it all just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I feel like I have this deep understanding of things, and all of a sudden, here we go, we're at war. What the hell's going on? People are asking me. I don't know. I just know I hate Nazis.
And you know what? Like, I can agree with that because, in my opinion, like, for one, it's probably for the same reason you're saying, and two, because I think it's just a magical order that's doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, regardless if they know that they're doing it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to the whole thing with Putin and stuff, though, I mean, listen, my opinion, I'm gonna go by how like our Occult Rejects intro is. The reason that we have our show is so you could see the shit, so you could save yourself. Nobody's fucking saving us. It's a nice idea. It's cute to think that we have a savior because it makes us feel safe. But in my opinion, you should believe that there isn't and take your own fucking dependence and do things your own. That's me.
That just might have to be the final answer. I have kind of flirted with that sort of thing, going out on the streets. I've never actually rioted or anything like that, but I
Oh,
think
I'm not saying you have to do that, but I do think if shit does get bad, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't think Putin or Trump or any politician is going to save things. It will just turn up fucked up, and every man for themselves.
maybe we should get outside our comfort zones. Maybe the only thing stopping us from stopping all of this is just that general fear of putting ourselves out there and getting our hands dirty. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad as we think.
Yo, you know what? Yo, for real. If you were to take these people that are going to fucking Trump rallies, just the amount of people doing that went and said nothing and just held the fucking sign and went to Washington, D.C., or went to their capital, their own state capital, or their own, actual places that could make a change. Not from a dude who can't, because one, now he's not in office anymore. And before, when you were going to his rallies, he was just telling you what he's going to change in the next 4 years. Well, I hate to tell you, a lot of those things that most people want changed can actually stop. Can actually start at a very low level that you can go and voice your opinion at yourself. So instead of tens of thousands of people going to worship some dude who's telling them what he's going to do and how he's going to fix it, you could all go to your fucking state capital and tell them. And if you have 30,000 motherfuckers there non-violently saying something, that's going to get something done, in my opinion. I know people will be like, no, the news won't cover that. That shit will get fucking heard and seen. And Trump didn't do anything. The people did.
Amen.
Think about that, though. We'll go and fucking all those amount of people to go listen to some fucking dude tell us how he's going to fix our shit. But we can't ourselves go down to the fucking building that's in our own fucking state that can actually start making changes. We won't go there ourselves, though, in a group like that.
Patriot, how are you dealing with the growing popularity of your show? Is it annoying sometimes? Are you having the time of your life?
Oh, I don't know if it's actually growing in popularity. It might be. All right. With my show, I love doing it. It is a hobby of mine. It's a passion of mine. Yes, it's always nice, of course, for you, just your ego to an extent. Yeah, it has grown for sure. And the Occult Rejects, definitely. That definitely has, for sure. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to hear, to know that there's people out there actually willing to listen to the shit that we put out, because some of it's rather deep. And I think, and I'm not knocking anybody. I just think that, some people, if you actually really not religiously, I hate to even say that now. If you're a constant listener, not a fan or a follower, if you're a constant listener, you must actually put time aside and listen and pay attention, because some of the stuff is rather deep. So I actually I appreciate that, and I find that actually rather cool. I'm like, wow, there's a decent amount of people who actually do that. But when it comes to it, right straight down to the point, of my show, yeah, it's nice that I have the listeners, but I'm still always going to be me. I'm still always going to voice my opinion. I'm still, my shit's free. I have nothing to, nothing stopping me from saying what I want to say. So in doing that, I have lost fans and I have lost listeners. So, I've watched it grow and drop a little bit because of that. But in the long run, I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I think is truthful. It's my truth. It's my honest opinion of how I see things, my honest experience that I've had in magic and in the O.T.O. So it's just what it really comes down to is, regardless if it was 50 people listening to me or 5,000, I'm sure I'd still be doing what I'm doing. I've had experiences in magic, and I put it like this in one of the last shows I did. When it comes down to really, really having a magical experience, if you're having one because you're just trying to know your creator, for a positive reason, if you have a real magical experience, I think when you come back from that, not that you're indebted to, but I think the experience and the love that you felt and the creativity and knowledge that came with that, you really should be trying to tell others that this is real. And it's an amazing, amazing thing, but so for me, that's why I have my show. I know a lot of times, most of it's like the negative side and exposing things. And that the reason I do that is I'm trying to show this stuff is real and people do actually believe this stuff is real. This is why these orders do that and these orders do this. That's why we've seen these people do this. But, when it really comes down to it, it's like, we cover that stuff to try to show that it's real, but like, there is a good side to it. And it does have a message that I do want to try to start conveying more,
Do you get hit by a lot of these people that are like, it says in the Bible that anything occult is evil, and that if you're messing with the Ouija boards or if you're doing spells, then you're on a quick pathway to hell, and you should have nothing to do with anything Gnostic or magic or anything like that? Do you have people that judge you like that, Patriot? Do you run into that, and what would you say to them?
At the beginning, when I first started coming out, I had that. But believe it or not, I don't know. I also don't. I'm going to be totally honest with you, and I guess this shows to you like how much does it really matter to me, except for like maybe on Instagram or Twitter. I don't post my stuff anywhere really, or all right, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. You know what I'm saying? But like when I used to try to post my stuff on other platforms and then like other groups on other platforms, then I would get a lot of people who would comment like that. But since I've stopped doing that, and I guess by now the people who listen to me have probably been listening to me for a while, they know what they're getting with me already. So I really don't hear much of that anymore. But at the beginning, I did. And believe it or not, in the beginning, I censored myself a lot. Believe it or not. And I realized once I stopped doing that, I totally loved what I was doing, and that's even another reason why eventually I put the fucking screen on, and I'm not knocking anybody who doesn't, but like for me, I love what I'm doing. It's a passion. So it's like, there should be no fear. There should be no fear within love. If there is love, then that is the absence of fear. That's in my opinion. So I love what I'm doing. And so it doesn't matter. I stopped censoring myself, regardless of what if people were saying that, my idea of this or that isn't good, or I've had people actually call me a Gnostic and telling me that I'm fucked up because I'm a Gnostic. I mean, maybe I am kind of close to one, but all right, if you think I'm fucked up, I'm fucked up. I'm still going to keep talking about my beliefs and my experiences, regardless of what you think. My show is free. So I don't owe anybody anything. Just stop hitting the play button.
And you're not into Satan or Lucifer or anything like that, or are you?
From my experiences with magic, and I'm going to drag this out to give you this answer.
Please do. Take the stage. It is all yours.
This is one of the things with magic and secret societies, actually, that I find in the long run is like so fucking hypocritical and ridiculous. Now, I mean, and I do believe that, all right, a lot of times when I did magic in the beginning, I would call upon certain gods or deities and I would invoke them. Now, one is invoking, which means that you're bringing them into your space and could possibly into you. And then there's evoking, where you're putting them like in a triangle away from you because you don't want them that close to you. I would, you invoke these gods and ask them, I'd ask Toth to help give me knowledge, or, I need to be able to be slick of the mouth this week for work because there's something going on, help me with speech, or this shit and that. or, I'd invoke the planet Jupiter because of, something other reason, or Hathor or Isis or Horus. I'm invoking all these gods to help me get what I need. And even in magic, it's like a saying within the O.T.O, I don't want to be a slave to the gods anymore. That's why I'm doing magic. Well, then what the fuck are you doing when you're doing magic, my man? You're calling on to Thoth. You're calling on to Horus. You're calling on to Isis. Calling on to Jupiter. The fuck you think you're doing now? You're still asking those motherfuckers to do something for you. You're a fucking slave. Fuck all them. You don't need all that shit. All you need is you and God, and that's all. So no, I do not worship Satan or Lucifer or any of that stuff. When I do anything now, it does not require an altar. It does not require a robe. It doesn't require a fucking wand. I sit down or I lay down and I go into a meditation and I bring myself into a deep quietness and I listen to hear God and we have a conversation and then that's it. So that wraps up that question. And that is one of the things I think is a problem with these secret societies, is because they still hammer on all these different pantheons and gods and all these things that you're supposed to work with, when all they are is just archetypes and ideas to tell you a deeper story. The whole thing comes down to this shirt. Is when this thing illuminates, you have come face to face with God, and that's all that fucking matters. Doesn't matter if fucking Lucifer, Satan, Thoth, Ishtar. Those are just archetypes of a fucking mindset or something to tell you a story. The whole thing is really between you knowing yourself and having an experience with God, the consciousness, the creator of all, whatever you want to call it. That's what real magic is. And you got all these people in these orders invoking and worshiping all these fucking demons and fucking gods and entities, when that's not what you really should be doing. You should just be going straight to God, and that's it. You can think of the light bulb as a source. You can think light bulb as God, light bulb as old consciousness. When you join the O.T.O, the Golden Dawn, the Order of Nine Angles, the Temple of Set, the Temple of Satan, that is the lampshade that is now put over the fucking light bulb. You are getting their version of magic, their shade of magic. You are not going to the actual source. You're going to the version that they want you to tap into. That's it. That's my opinion.
Well said. I did want to ask you, if you don't mind, could you share with us your journey?
You can ask me anything. I am 100% transparent, so don't worry about it.
Well, what I've been looking forward to is hearing the story of how you decided to join a secret society, and what was that like? And did anything freaky happen? And then why the heck did you get out of it? What
That's
sent
great.
you in the opposite direction? I mean, I did want to get into it when I was on your show, but I was the one being interviewed, so I want to hear your story.
That's right. I think you even mentioned something like you kind of wanted to ask your own things, but you're like, but this is your show. I remember, or you mentioned something like that before or after. I do remember you saying that. Now again, like we even mentioned before about like heavy metal music and that making me think that there's something else out there, or some other kind of energies, or the dark side or whatever. There was something else out there that we don't see or comprehend. Even before that, I had believed even like in like paranormal, like ghosts and aliens. I mean, my parents even thought there was something weird inside the house that we lived in. Like they even thought it might have been haunted, or my mom for sure did, and my dad even questioned. So even as a kid, like I had just was already predisposed to thinking there is stuff going on in this world that we just don't visualize and we don't understand. So even as a kid, I have always grown up with that, regardless if I was a Christian, a Catholic, or whatever I was believing in. I mean, I was probably an atheist and an agnostic at one point. I mean, I went through it all, man, for real. Eventually, I got into like the conspiracy stuff inside of things. I think I was like watching a alien or a UFO cheesy, B movie that was like kind of like the Blair Witch type, where it was like somebody filming the fucking movie. I was watching some cheesy shit like that, and then the next thing it brought me to was like Project Camelot, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And it was like some, conspiracy theory channel, and like that was my first time being exposed to that shit. I remember it. And then eventually from there, I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, holy fuck. I was like, this, I heard a lot of shit that I thought myself before I even heard someone else saying it. So all this stuff was captivating to me. So I, went down the rabbit holes and I got into that stuff pretty quick. I did believe rather quickly with a lot of the conspiracies that I started coming across, because there's so many different, UFOs, aliens, the government, secret societies. I mean, you could just make up all these things, there's so many different, things that you could find or get into. I just, for some reason, I guess maybe because of like past experiences with paranormal, and like I knew people in school that said they were witches, and I believed they were. I mean, they never did anything to prove it to me, but I just believed it. I had thought that like maybe secret societies and ceremonial magic and Satanism and all that shit is actually like kind of influencing and behind a lot of what's going on. So I got big into stuff like that, like right away when I started getting into, the rabbit holes or red pilled or whatever you want to call it nowadays, whatever badge they got for this stuff. So when I started getting into that, I quickly got into that stuff. And believe it or not, the reason of me joining, I mean, for a few reasons, was one is because, like I said, I believed this stuff was real. I did believe ceremonial magic or, magic and occultism. I did believe that it, it's influencing us. I did believe that stuff's real. And in my opinion, believe it or not, I had joined it because I wanted to understand it and I wanted to be able to figure out how can I use this shit to live my own life and just fucking stay out of the bullshit. How am I going to find my experience with like going up the tree of life and having an experience with like, the higher or whatever God or consciousness, I thought I was going to find that as well. So that was because I know most ceremonial magic, believe it or not, is based still on the Kabbalah. You can have all these different lampshades you want to, like I said before, and to cover it, but they all probably in their own way will neither have stuff on the Kabbalah or they'll have their own ways of integrating it into their stuff, and it may not be as open, but that is a huge influence on ceremonial magic, and I knew the O.T.O was pretty big on that. They were not my first choice of a place to join, actually. I believed that Crowley, and well, I still do think that Crowley was an occult genius for sure. I think one of the major reasons why he is so well known is because he had his own way of telling everybody a lot of fucking secrets. A lot of secrets in such a poetic and an artistic way. 95% of the people that read his shit will not fucking actually understand what he's telling you. You know what I'm saying? They will take it the wrong way and then believe the lie.
Yeah, for me, I can say that when I first tried to read it when I was much younger, it sounded like the most stupidest, crazy gibberish I've ever seen. And then many, many years later,
Some of
after
that is even on purpose, I think.
I think so, but after I learned a thing or two, it started making more sense to me when I read it. I can say that much, absolutely.
I mean, like, all right, put it this way. He has Nuit, Hadith, and Rahor Kuwait. Those are like the three gods that are in the book of the law that, that declares and tells us what the Lema is. Those now, I mean, Nuit, believe it, and I mean, all these characters do kind of have like and neither that name or close to it in Egyptian mythology. But like he kind of really almost came up with his own pantheon for the O.T.O. This is another thing why I'm getting at was why I could say I think he was an occult genius, is because I think he even kind of came up with like his own characters and own stories to tell you the truth, but you're just misunderstanding. That's another reason why I think he was so popular, is because like he was able to actually do that. But like what I was saying, I was not a huge fan of who he was. I do believe he was actually a piece of shit and probably did some horrible, disgusting things. I do think a lot of stories that we do read, though, about him, believe it or not, or occult stories themselves and not actually real. But besides that, I do believe he was probably a piece of shit of a human, and I was more looking for the Golden Dawn. There was no Golden Dawn near me and nothing that looked kind of official to me, close to me. And there was an official, like actual O.T.O lodge, 25 minutes away.
Hmm.
So I was like, I guess I kind of don't have many options. So I'll just go with the O.T.O. That itself, I'm trying to think how to explain that. I would assume, I don't want to say too much because I might narrow down where I was going, but if we would assume this would be the same way for anybody. Now, believe it or not, these places, or the O.T.O, there's lodges and oases and camps. There's 3 different versions. You can have a lodge, which is the biggest and the highest one. I think an oasis is kind of like in the middle, maybe not so many high degree people and less members, and then a camp, which is like just starting off. You can have a lot of those places, believe it or not, will have a fucking Facebook page. Some might have YouTube. I shit you not. Like, it is not hard to find these lodges at all. Not at all.
So I take it when you had this idea, you immediately started kind of Google searching, seeing what was out there, what you might be able to connect with.
Exactly. And I found that this is exactly part of how I came across where I ended up going. There was a station, and I'm not advertising them. I actually don't like them that much anymore now because I realize, in my opinion, part of the reason I didn't like the O.T.O from my experience, far left ideology. Blazing Star O.T.O is a page that I came across on YouTube, and they have a lot of classes, and I watched a lot of them. And whatever, I got some stuff out of it. I didn't get some stuff out of it, but whatever. I eventually, I think, contacted them somehow, and would ask them, like, how do I find out about like getting into this? Or like, is there like mentors? Like, how does this work? And they actually responded back. Somebody responded back, and they're like, well, if you just check the website for the O.T.O, and they gave me the link, they said it will show you where the lodges, camps, and oases are in the United States, and you can see if there's one near you. I think I specified to them I was in New York, and they mentioned, New York has a few already. So, it might work out for you, and one might be somewhat close. And when I checked, I was like, holy fuck, there is. But like, that's exactly like how I found out where to go. I from that website, on the O.T.O website itself, I think it linked me to like a Facebook or some sort of site to where like I was able to see their schedule and what kind of stuff that they had going on. And I had, I think, an email contact. I emailed them and told them I was interested to coming to a Gnostic mass. And I'm assuming just because they probably, going down the road, you will use emails a lot to actually just let them know you're coming. Not because like they need to know, but I mean, sometimes it could just be to actually be able to prepare for this amount of people. It has nothing to do, in my opinion, to just, trying to like keep tabs or whatever. Because you could have 20 people show up at 50, and if you don't got enough fucking food, or if you don't got enough fucking room, it's going to be fucked up. So like, they must realize like we've never seen this person before really contact us. So they said, I think contact us closer to the date, and we will give you, the address and where to go for the whole thing. So at the beginning, it was a little weird for me because it was like, all right, they don't even want to tell me where they are, which I guess, they're secret society. So I guess that makes sense. So eventually when I got closer to, I think I hit them back up, and
so you immediately ran into some form of secrecy.
Yeah, well, yes. And see, I don't want to go into too much. Like, it eventually brought me, like, I'm assuming now, depending on where you're going, yes, it will get to secrecy to where they probably may not give you the address until closer to the date of the place that you're going to. But like, I had an experience where like it wasn't even like you had to meet somewhere and then still wait to be let in. You know what I'm saying? So like that experience was even fucking weirder.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like that, I was just like, yo, this shit's real, man. You know, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm
You're like,
really
now
fucking
I've
here now.
arrived.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you get in there and you're like, yo, these are the people that come here. You're
Oh.
like, what? This is what the secret society is. You're like, what the fuck? But that was my experience. When I was in the Gnostic Mass, my first thing that I went to was a Gnostic Mass. I had watched it on YouTube and assumed, like, all right, I'm going to know what I'm experiencing when I go there. So I figured I would go for that. So it wouldn't have been anything too outlandish for me. I already knew what to expect. The one thing I will say, the version that I watched on YouTube did not have any nudity. The priestess does get nude at the in the Gnostic Mass. So
You're
that took
kidding
me.
me.
No. So
I did
that
not
took me.
know that. Wow.
That took me for a surprise. I was a little surprised when that happened. I was like, oh, I didn't see this on YouTube. This part didn't happen like this. So I mean, that threw me for a little bit of a loop. And I even remember, I shit you not, and believe me, I'm not like a prude or a vanilla or anything, but I was just like, yo, if anything else weirder than this happens, I'm out of here. Like I'm like, I even told myself, like, I will fucking just walk out and leave. I don't care. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
that's very eyes wide shut.
But nothing weirder than that happened. There was no actual like anybody doing anything to anybody. She just sat on the altar like that. I mean, there's a time when now she's the priestess. There's a time when the priest comes and like leans his head on her knees, kind of genuflecting or on the floor and like reads or says things or just sits there while she says whatever. But I mean, beyond that, that's actually all in the worst that I've ever seen sexually. Well, I take that back, except for initiation wise. That's the most I've ever seen. The worst. So, I know some people think that there may be, orgies going on inside these temples. I've never been invited to them or seen them. I will tell you though, at Noticon, they do have Noticon, which is like a national O.T.O thing that happens every 2 years. They will kind of get places where they will have conference halls, possibly in large hotels, and they will use those conference rooms to have classes for 2 or 3 days. And then, most of the people that come to them will then rent rooms out inside that hotel. And if you are of, I think, Minerval and first degree, and a chick might tap you on the shoulder one day and be like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to stop by like me or me and my husbands or me and my boys? Or it could just be her room later on tonight. If you're not doing anything, 9 out of 10 times that's going to be an orgy. Or you're going to have like a dude letting fucking mad people bang his wife. That shit does go on. I've been told it from women there and from men. I have not seen it, but I have had people tell me that they have, like, women legit. There was a thing that I was trying to apply for to do in the O.T.O where I would have actually been talking to a higher up once a week. And the funny thing is I didn't even realize, like, the whole part of it is that you'll be talking to Sabazius, who's like one of the highest up, like, fucking people in the O.T.O. Every week. You're just going to let them know kind of like what's going on within the lodge, like how is morale, I guess, census or whatever. Not realizing that, those people could actually just be being told by him what to make it. There was a certain position that I was looking to maybe do because I was just like, maybe they were pushing on me as you go up. They kind of start pushing on you to be more involved. And I really didn't want to get any more involved than I was in masses and rituals or anything like that. So I figured this is a way of me doing something and them just fucking leaving me alone. So I had spoken to some people that I knew had that position to try to get ideas of what I could be expecting. and one of them was a female, and then Nota Khan was coming up, and somehow she brings up like, oh well, if you go, and now I'm married, and she knows that. She says, if it's okay with your wife, I don't know what type of relationship that you have. The last time I went, me and my husband allowed other men to come in, and I think I got banged out by mad dudes, and plans to be doing it again this time and possibly with more. Would you be interested? And I was just like, holy fuck. I was like,
It sounds like Patriot. It sounds like the organization took a little bit of a liking to you.
yeah, I did. Well, some did and some didn't. I would have to say, some of the ones that probably didn't know me that well liked me because of that. But I'll be totally honest with you. For the most part, like I said before, the people there were very liberal. Or I mean, there was flat out open socialist and communist there. And at the time I was a little bit more leaning to the right, and I would consider myself just down the middle because I think both sides are fucking us regardless. So I wouldn't even want to claim a Democrat or Republican. I wouldn't even want to call myself either one of those right now.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? To be just disrespectful to myself, because neither one of them have standards or do anything of truth. So like I don't even get into that anymore, but a lot of them were far left. And just me, my type of personality and how I'm not such an SJW, and I'm not gay, and I'm not a non-binary or anything like that. I wasn't that well liked by people who knew me a lot, but casual stuff, yes, I was very good at just being able to smile at them and just do what I needed to do and keep it moving.
Were there other more conservative orientated types there, or was it mostly
Very
kind
few. Very few. There was, I would say, at the place that I went to myself, there was 3 people that I would have called friends, associates at one point for sure, and they were all a little bit more like-minded. I mean, I had one that I would even say, I mean, as much as I like to do it, and he would be like a solid guy if you needed help. And he's not an asshole, and I don't think he's involved in magic for any evil intentions. He was a little, believe it or not, he was a little too far right for me. He was just very, I don't know, too much for me. But for the most part, it was only like 2 or 3 dudes that I could really like kind of chill, like, and talk to, and like really like be myself with, and like actually spoke to and saw outside the lodge, to be totally honest with you.
So initially, did you have to meet up with like a tribunal to decide if you were worthy of joining the OTO, or was it simpler than that? Like, what was the
That's a
initiation?
great fucking question, man. Very good, man. I love that. If you want to, the first step you would do is Minerval, and that is like it's an honored guest. It's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You're still not even a full member. That is the first thing that you would do, and you need to petition for it or get a piece of paper. You fill out who you are and that you want to, stating that you want to, and all this shit that you want to, become a Minerval or go for the Minerval initiation of degree. And you got to get 2 people to sign off and say that they agree with it. Pretty much for real. And it's not, I don't think it's really all that picky. I think they just want to make sure, at least up until the 4th and 5th degree, those signatures may not be that picky about who you are, except for the fact that they just know that you're not nuts and you're not going to show up doing some crazy, stupid shit, or
Yeah.
show up like drunk or fucking high off your ass. You can't even fucking stand up or do your will. At least for Minerval and First, I can easily say that's probably the only time. That's all they're really caring about when they sign that paper, is that you're just not, that we think he's okay to walk in this door and not go nuts. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really all that you need. So you need 2 signatures to do that for Minerval. And then after that, I think you have to be going for like 9 months, maybe, or a year, or maybe it could be less. I can't remember now. When you go, also, there's a sign-in book, and there's suggested donations as well for whatever you're going to. So if it's like the Gnostic Mass or an open class or whatever it is, if it's something open to the public, When you go, you can sign in as well. Put down whatever name you want, I guess, and throw money in the donation box. But like, they will also know, like, all right, I petitioned at this time, and there's proof of me signing this fucking book, for 9 months. I'm good to go. And or it could be a year, 8 months, I forgot what it is. And then they will, more than likely, the next time they do Minerval, you'll just be tossed into that mix. And the same thing I would say for the first degree. Now, in the first degree, you have to do the same thing again. You have to ask for paperwork, and then I do think that is 9 months after Minerval. You have to wait, or 9 months or a year. You cannot take it before then. So, like, I could be 8 months after Minerval and fill out the paperwork and petition for it and hand it in early. So that if there's one that happens to come on 13 months after I've been waiting, I have qualified and applied, and I can try to get into that one. Even though it's like right away. So I had already signed and waited, and then took first. And the same thing goes, honestly, for second, third, and fourth. Fifth degree, starting fifth degree, that you have to be asked, or neither fifth degree or after fifth degree. One of those. Totally, I think it's fifth degree, but it's definitely neither that one or afterwards. You are not going anywhere unless somebody asks you. You can no longer ask to go up anymore. You will stay there unless somebody asks you to go higher. And there is a Minerval, and then 1 through 12. So even think of this. Let's say it's the fifth degree you can take. After that, what's 6 through 12? Even going by what these initiations do, by the time you're like, I think a third or fourth degree, you're kind of already declaring yourself like a perfected magician. So, like, what are all these other degrees about afterwards? My opinion, from certain things that I've seen or whatever, in my experience, it starts to go more along with like an agenda or a mindset of the O.T.O or, belief, or for the lodge.
So
I'll be honest, and it would take too long to start getting into it. And this might be an outlandish claim, but I really do think some of the stuff that I have read and the way it's explained for higher up degrees. Now, I'm going to say sex is used as a weapon in magic. It is used to cover up other symbology, and it is used to make people sexually deviant and just tie themselves into more shackles and actually be more of a slave to earthly things.
Oh, wow.
But in my opinion, there is things where they will explain sexual stuff, and it is not sexual at all. But from me looking at things higher up, I do believe MK Ultra type things are being done.
Oh, shit. The bomb was just dropped.
But that's now the person may know. The person may know and be completely willing. For all I know, they know and they're completely willing. But the type of stuff that would be done as MK Ultra to fuck with people, that could be used as a weapon, is also being done, in my opinion, in the higher up degrees or initiation.
And that is
maybe okay with
mind-blowing moment of the day. Mind-blowing. He blew our minds.
Well, the thing is, from one of them, what they're saying, that they start talking about the homunculus. That is the middle part of your brain. That's just the little guy from Twin Peaks represents the guy in his fucking brain. If you look up homunculus, you'll see like it even represents the middle of the brain, and it's this little man in the head, and this and that is here. They start talking about fucking with the homunculus, taking the ego out and then putting something in before the ego can be birthed. In my opinion, they are taking part of you out of your head, out part of your soul, part of you out of you, and pushing something the fuck back in. Now, is it because you want to acquire something to get what you want? I don't know. It could be that. It could be, do we want to use this person as a slave? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. This could all be willing participants. But from what I've seen, that's what's being done. And in my opinion, that's exactly what MK Ultra is too. It's fucking people up and taking part of fracturing their self and putting implants that you want in there. It's the same fucking thing, in my opinion.
Now, were most of your peers, would you say that they were really big Crowley fans? Is that the motivation usually for joining? I mean, he did start the whole thing, but it makes sense.
Well, he started the Astrum Argentum. Well, I'm even going to say, I don't believe this guy even started the Astrum Argentum. I think that shit existed before him. Supposedly, he started the Astrum Argentum. The O.T.O. he actually didn't start. That was started by a few other dudes. It was associated with the Freemasons. And if you were like a certain degree in the Freemasons, you could transfer over to the O.T.O. and start at a specific degree there. You did not have to start from the bottom. It was at one point actually associated with Freemasonry because it was Freemasons who started it and then handed it over to Crowley because they thought he knew the secrets. You know, was much, and they blew them away. He blew them away with his book of the law that they were like, oh, we're going to give this order to you, Crowley. That's the story. Who knows if that is even fucking true? Who's to say some 3-letter agency wasn't behind the conception of all these things? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of the secret society stuff. They'll tell you a story of their origin, and then you'll find out later on it's some kind of alchemical text full of symbology that's not even true. And you're like, what? You guys have like 5 different origin stories. Which one's true?
Well, that's even some of the things that, like, even go along with Aleister Crowley. Like, even some of the stories that you hear about him, I'm like, yo, if I looked at that as like an Aragorgal occult tale, I'm like, that actually makes more sense than the story that I'm being fucking told right now. To where I could see like this I don't know. So who the fuck knows if like who really started it or not? But yeah, supposedly, yeah, he did take over the O.T.O. and Crowley had the O.T.O. and the Astrum Argentum.
Was there a initiation ritual that you had to go through?
To become for the first degree, you have to do the first degree to become a full member.
Is Minerva the system, or is it the actual ritual that you do?
Well, the Minerval degree you're going to take, and that's an initiation in itself. You're going to take that, you're going to go through it, and then they give you, they say that you're a Minerval and you're an honored guest. Now that will allow you to start going to closed meetings. Closed meetings are not open to the public. Those are for members only, but we will allow Minervals because we consider you an honored guest. And we're assuming you're probably going to join anyway. You're allowed to come to closed meetings or masses or closed classes, whatever it is. That's not open to the public. Then once you take first degree, then you, from my experience, at least what was on the calendar for me to visualize or for me to see, everything's open to you then. But you will have to go through Minerval so you can go to closed stuff.
Now, as far as the actual meetings and rituals, was this done in the same place every time? Was it somebody's basement? Could people look in the window and see what you guys were doing? Or was this all sort of...
the place I was in, nobody could see what was going on from the outside that I can remember. No, I don't think so at all. No.
Did anybody ever talk about the devil in the O.T.O?
Well, this is one of the things too that's great about the O.T.O. for them selling in their standpoint. A lot of other places that you could go to, sometimes they will have kind of a very specific belief system. Like even the Golden Dawn, it's very Egyptian in sense and, very Kabbalah. You could go to the O.T.O. and basically, if you kind of just accept the idea of like Horus and Rahor Queen, or accept a few of those things, it didn't matter. Like, all right, I happen to be another reason why I was inclined to the Golden Dawn of the O.T.O. I was always into Egyptian mythology, and I always thought something about Egypt we don't understand. That shit is telling us something that we don't understand. So I was kind of more influenced to go towards, things like that. But if you're in the OTO, you could be into Norse gods. That could be your thing. That's your will. You're still welcome. I could be into the Ars Goetia, into demons. That's your will. You're still welcome. I could be into Babylonian, Sumerian, Celtic. All different types of people that have different ideas of what their thing is, too, will all be there.
Now, when you were hanging around these people, when you were being initiated, when you were going to the meetings, did you ever feel any types of like magic energy currents coursing through you? Did you psychologically feel anything different? Did you feel the effects of anything that you would consider a magical current or anything similar?
There was very few times inside the OTO. And the thing is that they'll even tell you themselves the real magic happens at home. The real magic happens when you're doing your own practices.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll tell you that. I mean, when you're there, I mean, when you're at these things, yeah, things are being done, but you have to realize, and I'm not shitting on people when I say this. First off, most of the people there, they don't know their will. So, in my opinion, how much of real magic are they really doing? And two, they don't actually know what magic is. So, I mean, how much it could really be going on anyway? But besides that, there was a few times in a couple of Gnostic masses where I might have felt a little bit more lighter or lighthearted or just like feel like just I guess lighter, not so heavy and pulled to the earth, or just a heavy vibration. I just felt a little bit lighter. There was a time once, though, I will say, I felt something, and it wasn't a negative or a bad thing to me. It was still an impressive and nice experience. They had a class. I'm pretty sure it was a closed class because of the amount of rituals that were going on when it was done. It was somebody who was doing a soul or solar or sun or Tiferet talisman. And they were showing you how to construct one and how to charge one and how to, what it could be used for. And this person, like, actually did a very, in my opinion, this was somebody who actually kind of halfway knew their shit. They did their thing, and then they actually did, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. They removed all earthly influences, and then she went into the lesser banishing ritual of the hexagram, and then removed all planetary influences, and then she went straight into the greater hexagram ritual, which now she was specifically invoking solar energy into that space, removed everything else, did all four corners with the hexagram, invoking the sun. And then even wherever the sun was in the sky, she drew the extra hexagram and invoked that. That time when that day, I felt something then, for sure. And it wasn't a bad feeling. I know, unfortunately, people might have wanted to hear like, "Oh God, it was horrible." But no, I felt like there was something there, like, because honestly, invoking the sun, in my opinion, really, that's balance and beauty. That's the aim for a magician, to have balance and beauty in oneself, to be able to control themselves, not being, so much of a slave. So to me, that's, a good thing to an extent if you don't go off balance with it. So I felt a good experience when that was done. To me, it was like a warming experience.
Did anybody talk about any sort of curses or anything like that? Was anything like that taught to you or discussed at all? Did the order have any enemies?
No, but I will tell you one thing. Well, I can answer here. Let me think about which one I want to answer first. All right. For one, no, they had never came out and said in a class on how to do curses. There may have been classes on how to do, like, all right, this is how we're going to do candle magic. This is how sigils are made. A very, this is how talisman are made. Except for that one class that I just told you, for the most part, they are very basic. You know, like I can tell you, I really at one point I didn't go to them anymore because to me it was just one, it was a waste of time and a waste of a donation because I wasn't learning anything. You know, it was just if I went, it was maybe because my boy was going and I figured I'd hang out with him and bullshit.
Mhm.
But there might have been times during classes or things will be said that like you can easily, Crowley has a book called 777. It is like the Bible of rituals. It breaks down how everything associates with everything. It will show you what fucking stones, what herbs, what drugs, what minerals, what shapes, what colors, what this and what that you need to do whatever you want to accomplish whatever I guess you're looking for. And there are things in there where it will show, like, maybe if you want to do disease or something like that, you might want to work with this. There's been people who might make like little jokes about that, like, oh, if you want someone to be so and so, you can, just look line whatever in 777. Jokes like that, but never anything specifically covered to do harm to someone else. That shit like that. I mean, there was a time, and now this gets iffy though. There was a time when they had a ritual where they were invoking fuck, basically the demon of Mars. For some reason I can't remember the fucking name. When it comes down to like planetary magic, there's like spirits and an intelligence. One of them is basically an angel, and the other one is basically the demon. They were evoking that into a triangle, but funny thing is, the same chick who did the solar talisman was also the same one to get in the fucking triangle and actually allowed, because normally when you would evoke demons, you put them into a triangle to keep them away from you so they don't get attached to you. They were willing, or she thought she was willing, to get in the triangle and basically be a channel for it. Now, stuff like that, that could get iffy to where how you want to look at it. Like, does that person really know their will, and do they really know what they're doing? Does everybody really know what exactly is going on? If you really knew what magic might be, would you really be putting yourself in that triangle? So, like, could there be stuff maybe going on amongst the members? For sure, but like, I don't think they weren't telling people, they weren't telling us to go out and do that to other people, that ritual. But like, that's something that I did think that like people should have like been a little questionable about. Like, do you really understand like what you're really doing if you really understand magic? Like, do you really understand what the fuck's going on right now? If
That
this
the
is
key
really
question?
happening.
Isn't that the key question? Does anybody, even like these really experienced people like Crowley, I mean, on some level, aren't we all just kind of venturing into
You know,
the unknown?
I will tell you, myself including, and I always say it, and Lux will even say it to himself. I don't fucking know everything. I just know what I've experienced. But even these so-called masters, they don't know all the answers either. They still died searching. They don't fucking know either. They just left better ways, more poetic ways to tell you of it over and over again.
They just told us how fucked everything is, basically. They just told us that, well, there's some crazy shit out there. Here's some symbols.
I mean, I even think, to be totally honest with you, and me and Lexi even said it, even a lot of shit when it comes down to movies, when you get all these directors and all these certain people are always getting these awards for all these fucking great movies, they're getting these awards is because they just threw the most occultic shit in your fucking face so nobody fucking realized it. They bought the story. They didn't buy the fucking actual deep truth to it. And that's so fucking mind-blowing that, fuck, we got to give you an award. These people really are that stupid.
Yeah, I definitely
Really
agree.
are that blind. You fucking pulled it off good. We got to give you an award.
And a lot of times it might be they just know it's powerful, and they know if they put it in there, they put in their ad or whatever, they know it's going to have some effect on you and make you remember. But meanwhile, who knows what the hell it's actually doing to you or doing to us?
You know what a big part of magic is, for real, when it comes to psychological magic, is giving you an idea. Something just has to exist that you never thought of before. An option or an idea. That's all it has to do, is like give you just an idea of something. That's it. You know what I'm saying? As crazy as that sounds, like the idea or the option of war that has been created, job's done.
So now
I
that
mean,
we-
look, I'll even put it this way, and I hate to say it, a lot of stuff in magic, in my opinion, in symbology, has gotten twisted, and people have taken it for cross-dressing and transsexualism.
could you elaborate on that?
It's the mixing of energies. It's the same thing with the tree of life. The whole thing, I hate to, in my opinion, what we're living in now is a spiraling love dance of male and female, positive, negative, projective, receptive energies having a little fucking love dance, spinning around. And every once in a while, when they cross, when the beast and the whore, the scarlet whore, cross paths, there might be some balance and beauty, and that's when things are going great. But when they start pulling away again is when you start getting the chaos that we're going through now. And then the system fucking destroys and they come back and there's great fucking balance and beauty. And then it happens again over and over again. That's my opinion. That's what we're actually going through in an inevitable cycle. Tell you the truth. But that's what I think. What was the question? I'm sorry. I got totally lost on that now.
There really was no question, but I do have a next question. Now that we've laid out the story of you joining the O.T.O and what it was like, now I kind of want to get into what made things take a turn for the negative. When did you start the path deciding you wanted to get out?
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up. I started having my own magical experiences, I guess. I was having experiences that were just uncommon, things that I had never experienced before. And for the most part, it all happened with my eyes closed. So that even weirded me the fuck out to begin with. A lot of this shit was happening during meditations. A lot of times you can go and cast your circles and do whatever you want and do your ritual. And there is times, after you're done doing that, you will literally sometimes just sit there and actually meditate on what you're looking to get. That's all it is. A lot of magicians, actually, that's all that's really going on. And that's what I was doing for, whatever I was trying to obtain. And I was starting to have very weird experiences to where it's like, as if I stepped into an HD TV and I was like somewhere else, clear as day, more vibrant and more actually believable than this world. And but not like as if my body was not there, as if I'm like visualizing shit, and almost as if like the Matrix type crap where you're like a viewing thing, just fucking going wherever you want and wherever you are, just to see and visualize stuff. And like stuff started happening like that, and like even weirder. And I was doing a lot of shadow work at the time when that stuff happened. If people don't know what shadow work is, that is when you really have to start to take a look at who you are, what you believe, why do you believe that, why do you have these morals, why do you have these ethics, why are you programmed the way you are programmed? Do you agree with that? What actually really rings true with you? How many true, authentic thoughts have I actually have? And how many have I been told by a school teacher, a parent, an uncle, a friend, a cousin, all these people that I grew up telling me things and saying things that I picked up on? How much of a real actual experience or an idea or a truth have I had? And how much have I just believed because of hearing it from somebody else? Shit as deep as that, you're going to have to go through. And you're going to have to decide who you want to be. And you're going to realize that there is a lot of fucking shackles on you, probably. You're going to probably realize there is a lot of shit that you have lived your life with that have actually been handcuffs on you and not been a positive thing. And it's just actually held you back from experiencing life. From my experience doing that, going to the O.T.O, they will very much tell you a lot of truths and symbolism and stories, but will hand it to you in a way, one, that he's dark, demonic like. So now you think it's like very dark and cool and all this shit and that shit's cool, or very over fucking sexual, which is, I'm telling you, is one of the worst handcuffs and one of the best ones that magic can use to fuck you up from knowing magic and experiencing magic will be sex. They will use that the best, regardless if it's actual intercourse or male and female. Sex is like the best fucking weapon to use to pull people away from magic. And they do that very well in their order. It's very highly over sexualized. And I started realizing the work that I did to get to the experiences I had does not match where I'm going. It does not match the image and the way these people act at all. I am the farthest fucking thing from the idea, the image, and the people that are going there. Why the fuck should I go there anymore? And I will tell you, in Minerval, when you were finishing up Minerval, they tell you only to trust yourself. In the first degree, when you're ending that, they will specify and make you repeat, you should only trust yourself. In the second degree, they will make you do shit and show you that everything is not as it seems. So maybe you don't know your surroundings. You'll be put into a position where they show you that your siblings, your brothers and sisters, your other members around you should not be trusted. So Minerval, first and second degree, you have just told me 3 fucking times I should not trust this place or the people around me. How many more times do I got to be told that shit? So from that and my magical experience, I realized that place for me was the total opposite image of what I was wanting to do and where I was going. So it no longer suited me. I stopped going and attending for a while. I was still kind of like a social with some people. COVID came. The lodge shut down. They sided with the CDC.
Oh.
They sided with the CDC. Horus. The mighty god Horus. These magicians and wizards with Horus are scared of COVID. They shut down, but Jesus still had balls and stayed open. So I was like, what the flying fuck? Like, I already knew you were fucked up, but like, you're even more fucked up. So then they started doing some Zoom things, and I was like, you know what? I'll go on that because I could shut the screen off and just listen. They were doing things where, I guess because a lot of people were neither, we had the pandemic, so a lot of people neither places closed. There was a lot of just people just, available, doing nothing. So I guess maybe to be, social justice warriors and just to be cool, and I get, whatever. I guess to help people out, we'll be more active on Zoom things. So they started doing a lot of stuff like that. And there was like a couple of book readings and things or shit, whatever, that I just like jumped in on. I was like, you know what? I'll listen to this because it's really has nothing to do with the O.T.O. It's actually more of just like learning shit or hearing an audio book. They happened to have, there was a day where they sent out an email about the George Floyd shit. And I was like, yo, what? I'm reading this email and I'm like, yo, is this fucking for real? Like, the O.T.O. specifically says we have nothing to say about anything except for this order. As a whole, this organization, we have jack shit to say about anything that's going on outside of this order. That's it. That's actual a stance of theirs, believe it or not. They do say our opinion of anything outside of this order should not fucking matter and we should not have one. But now all of a sudden, with this shit going on, we got to have a kumbaya about fucking George Floyd. Now I'm going to say this. If what happened to George Floyd was actually real, it was horrible and disgusting and it shouldn't have happened. I agree with that. That's if it was even real. But besides that, I can speak for myself and I could probably say for every member in there, no one was related to George Floyd. George Floyd wasn't employing any of them. He wasn't putting food on their table. And George Floyd wasn't a reason or a part of them being able to live. So at some point, you should realize no matter what the fuck happened to that dude, it is not affecting your will. It does not affect your fucking life one bit. But now we have to have a kumbaya group counseling class about this? I was like, oh, I got to fucking jump in on this shit and just listen. Straight up. I joined that shit because I thought it sounded so fucking pathetic. I wanted to hear what they had to say. So I went in there. I heard their little fucking round table and bullshit of how everybody's experienced racism in some sort of way. And how we all feel better talking about it. And then a higher up who happens to be a fucking lawyer all of a sudden wants to start promoting fucking Antifa and BLM. And wants to start saying if Antifa gets considered fucking domestic terrorists, you don't understand how much of our rights are going to be taken away. And I know about the Constitution. I'm a fucking lawyer. You don't want that to happen. I know my shit. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yo, they are literally now an organization that is not supposed to have an opinion about anything, telling me I should support Antifa and BLM. And that we need to have a kumbaya about a guy I did not fucking know until the fucking TV told me he existed, is supposed to be fucking inflicting my will. I need to talk to people about it. George Floyd did not exist until the fucking TV told me. Until then, I existed and I lived and I did my life. I did my will. Now, because that motherfucker's supposedly dead, all of a sudden my will's fucked up. I need to talk to people. Nah, these aren't magicians, man. These are fucking slaves being pushed leftist ideology. And then I left. From that point on, I stopped going and told them, who do I contact at the top? They have like the head or the outer order. What do I need? Who do I need to, where do I need to email or mail to receive paperwork to actually back out of this thing? Because you need to actually fill out paperwork and sign it and say, I do not want to be a member anymore. You can stop paying your dues and go inactive, but they will consider you a member and you will be on their fucking list. You actually have to fill out paperwork, sign it, send it back, have them sign off on it and send it back to you, and they will remove you from their list.
Did you get anybody trying to stop you from quitting, or was there anything like that going on? Any Church of Scientology type stuff where they would not let you quit, or were they just like, "Oh, peace"?
All right. Well, one, I took advantage. I did this in a few. Well, there was a few people that, yeah. I mean, the lodge master at the time seemed to be upset or wanted me to show up, would text me and email me, like they definitely took an interest in me. Like they wanted me to be there. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what reason why. I had, and the funny thing is I've even said like, how do you know like there isn't even handlers within these things? You know what I'm saying? Or people like, I don't know if it's just coincidence, and I'm going to say it straight up. It was never because I thought this girl was attractive, because I didn't think she was at all. But the first priestess that I had ever seen was I end up being kind of close with. Did not live that far from me. I had seen her also do things there at the lodge, rituals and doing certain things to where I had also believed that she, and I do believe that she actually does understand magic. That's actually probably the whole thing. That she actually, I do believe she really actually knows what the fuck magic is. I do believe that, but plays it off dumb. But she was very close with me. Maybe why don't you start all of a sudden? Here's my husband's number. I think you guys would get along from some of the things you've told me about yourself. I think, you and my husband would probably get along. Maybe one day, all four of us, you and your wife, we can all go out. Never did any of these things, but started doing that. That could have literally really have been just trying to be nice. But I did let that person know to a certain extent some of these experiences I had. And because I had actually believed like maybe I could talk to this person and actually get some honest truth of what their opinion of it was. I thought I knew what it was already. I was just like needing maybe some confirmation from somebody else. So I didn't think I was crazy. But basically told me, oh, maybe it was just some weird kind of like astral projection or maybe it's just some wild kind of like meditation, a dream. You should definitely just keep writing that stuff in your journal. That's like the answer I got, but then wanted to repeatedly after that reach out to me to try to do things. So I felt that was a little weird.
What, like go bowling or?
Oh, well, no. Oh, like we might be going to so and so place. Me and a bunch of friends might be. I don't want to name specific places because then so it's getting real personal. But you like might be going to this type of barbecue place in Astoria. Where you and your wife want to come and meet us there.
I could see how
I might be having people over for a party this night.
I could see how if you are like the loner type or somebody that doesn't have a lot of friends, you'd be so
fucked real easily, real fast. You could be fucked. Especially, I'm going to be totally honest with you, especially if you're a dude. I really do think they will easily fuck with you because you could just all you need is a female who seems sexualized to put a couple of words in your ears to influence you to do certain things that you won't even realize it. I mean, I'll put it this way. A lot of people, I think, this is crazy and this is going to be so whatever. How the fuck did we even come here? But when it comes to like even sexual stuff, I watched a thing on Netflix about Kanye West. Now, the reason I watched it is because I do think that dude is an occult fucking genius. And I think he's blown in the burnt the fuck out and acts the way he acts because of that shit. He's fucking fried his fucking mind. But there was a point in the documentary when he goes to the fucking store and even says, I think it was like, he's like, oh, it's like kind of a bad habit of mine. As he was going out trying to become famous and doing what he had to do and was staying in this place, staying at that place, basically just like fucking hustling like a motherfucker. He went to the store and bought a porn magazine and went back to the hotel room by himself. And I even said, I guarantee you he did that because he understands that all you need is a good fucking piece of ass. And she'd be like, yo, I'm having friends or there's a party I'm going to next week. Why don't you come over? There might be some other popular people there. You get to meet them. They might understand this person is understanding or magical or has fucking certain attributes about that person that we could use. All of a sudden, now you're friends with them. Oh, yo, let's do something this way. Let's do something that way. It'd be great if we used you for this. Come hang out with us. Now you're not even doing what you were anymore. And this piece of ass that referenced you over here. Now you're fucking someone's slave. It's really that fucking easy. And that's why I think sex is a huge fucking weapon in fucking magic too.
Yeah, I mean, most of this stuff is surprising to me. I really had no clue. I don't know where you would even learn about this stuff. Like I've read a few printed materials about the O.T.O. They don't talk about anything like this. I don't think you'd be able to find out without doing what we're doing and having a conversation with somebody that's actually gone through it. You can't look this stuff up, is what I'm trying to say.
You know what I'll drop out there real quick, just real fast, because it's a thing that it is another thing, like you're saying, you can't really find out unless you know somebody who's like neither seen it or knows about it. I hate to say this, and I'm not denying that fucked up child pedophilia goes on, but panda eyes is not always sexual. For the most part, I don't think it is. If it's on a human being, like if it's on a grown-up, no. And honestly, even on kids, I'm not so sure. Because believe it or not, what I'm going to tell you is 100% fucking real. If you've seen Clockwork Orange, that type of head contraption to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Do you know what scrying is in magic?
Yeah, sure. It's like remote viewing.
Well, but what are you doing? You're staring at a black fucking, normally a black, like obsidian tablet or a black mirror. You're staring at a black fucking object and looking into it. You can't blink. If you blink, you fuck it up. People will put those fucking things on their face to hold their eyes open, and you get panda eyes. Because motherfuckers are scrying for an hour or two. They're fucking going out to the abyss. They're looking deep into their fucking head. That's not from fucking. It's from something that's actually probably a lot more scarier if people realize that this shit's real.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I mean, there's people, I hate to say it, there's a fucking people out there telling their story of occultism that if you notice every once in a while, they got panda eyes. So, I mean, you know, that this shit's fucking real.
So at what point, because it sounds to me, I mean, you're talking about COVID, a lot of this stuff wasn't exactly ancient history. At what point were you already friends with Lux, or did you meet him after that?
I left I met him after I left the O.T.O. There was just something about it. I was just like, another thing that happened too. I don't know how the fuck this happens. And I saw it happen a lot with people in magic to begin with, or even in that society, or even in the lodge. All of a sudden, you stop believing conspiracy theories. You don't think magic is actually that serious. You don't think orders actually could do that. You don't think like people are actually like, you know, at the top. Nobody's really doing any of these things that you hear. All of a sudden, like people just stop believing that stuff. I kind of was so involved in magic and in studying occultism and studying Kabbalah, I really wasn't having time to or listening to conspiracy shit anymore. I was really just solely into fucking studying magic. I couldn't even really have told you what the fuck was going on politically, you know? Um, Eventually, when I stopped practicing, I had realized and left that place and actually started paying attention to everything else again and kind of getting back into conspiracies. Well, for one, I was just like, holy fuck, like, in my opinion, this shit's everywhere. I'm seeing it in fucking supposed conspiracies. I'm seeing it on the news. I'm seeing it in movies. I'm seeing it just fucking everywhere. Logos, flags. I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, yo, this shit is insane. So I think I had went on like 2 podcasts prior because I was telling them like I'm, you know, an ex-member of the O.T.O. and I want to try to come out and talk about the fuck's going on in magic and shit. And then after that, I had started my own, and because of Lux hearing me on a show, he contacted me, and I don't even think I had like 5 or 6 episodes, maybe 7 or 8 the most on my own show. I had him on as an ex Golden Dawn member, actually proving how the O.T.O. and the Golden Dawn connect. That's actually what we did. I had him on for that. We showed how they connect in the Astrum Argentum. And then we got talking to where, like I had told him, I said, you know, I kind of started this envisioning it, doing it with a partner so we could cover actually some good deep topics and not do it all on my own. By the time we finally pulled that trigger, I was starting to bring guests on my show because I just wasn't able to fucking keep doing my own show just myself. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just leave this to keep bringing guests on. And then I started the Occult Rejects with Lux, and we hit it off pretty well. I mean, we pretty much, in my opinion, I do believe we have the same goal. We left for a lot of the same reasons. There's no transparency. We were being lied to. And I did believe that he was actually being truthful and honest, and like I was talking to the real Lux. And I still, you know, and I still do believe that, and I'm sure he believes that now with me, and that's why we're still doing the show together. I thought this was an honest person with good intentions, and let's fucking do this. So then we started the Occult Rejects.
Awesome. Wow. That is a fascinating story. And boy, time flew so fast, but
Yeah, I was just looking at the clock now. I was like, holy fuck, we've gone an hour and 48 minutes.
yeah, unfortunately, we're at the end of the interview. I usually like to do, you know, like about 2 hours tops.
Oh, that's
But
fine. That's fine. I figured.
yeah, definitely. I feel like we could, you know, definitely do more here. But I did want to go ahead and open things up, give you a chance to go ahead and hop up on the soapbox, say whatever you'd like to say to all our listeners out there, and then just follow that up with whatever you like to promote or plug.
Oof. I think one of the biggest things that we're seeing nowadays is just a lot of dependence on stuff. Technology, a savior, all these different gods and stuff. I mean, religions, in my opinion, are just more psyops of the truth. There is, in my experience, there is something greater than us out there. In my experience from magic, there is a love that I've experienced that I think was because I became closer to God. That is unexplainable and is not possible to even experience here. There is something greater than this. We are much more greater than we think we are. And we have much more greater capabilities of how we're acting right now. There is no savior. We need, or humans need, to do this on their own. You need to actually work on yourself to make a change. Nobody's going to do it for you. And that's really what the whole Occult Rejects is about. Is we can show you how people are manipulating you so you can see it for yourself and save yourself. That is the biggest, and the I guess the biggest thing I could close it with is that I highly do say that Trump, Putin, Biden, nobody is coming to save us. You have to save yourself by knowing who you are, who you want to be, and who God is. That's it. It's most of the best advice I can give.
Awesome. I love that. Patriot, I had a great time.
This was an awesome interview. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great time going on your show. I had a great time bringing you on here, and definitely would like to do a part 2 with you one of these days.
Whenever, just let me know. I had an amazing time. You asked really good questions. You allowed me to go into, other things and get deep with it. I will always come back.
And how can we join your Discord as well?
If you want, I have a link tree now. One of our admin or our mod, really, Helen. Shout out to Helen, who runs our Discord. Made us a link tree. You probably even know who she is too. Actually, probably.
Yeah, I've chatted with her inside of your Discord. It's a lot of there.
She's cool as shit, right? I mean, shout out to Helen, man, for real.
Smart girl.
Yeah, she said she got tired of seeing a slew of show notes and a ridiculous amount of stuff in for links. So she made us a link tree. I can give you that. I mean, basically the NYPatriot and the Occult Rejects you can find on all major podcasts, BitChute, Rumble, and Twitter and Instagram. But I mean, I can give you the link tree notes if you want to when you share this, and that will have all our shit on it.
Sweet deal. Yeah. All right, Patriot. I will definitely talk to you soon. I'll hit you up in the Occult Rejects Discord.
Oh yeah. You're asking about the Discord. The Discord link will be in there. Sorry.
Awesome. All right, buddy. I will talk to you next time.
All right, later.
Have a good night from New York Patriot. Have a good one.
Later, brother.
All right, there you have it. Great interview with the Patriot. I've been looking forward to that for a while. I do have to go freshen up a little as per usual. I've been sitting here kind of holding it like I usually am at this point. And I'm like, oh man, should I ask him 5 more questions or should I call it a day and bring him on again? We'll probably have to bring him on again. I mean, this show is one of those shows that sometimes goes hours and hours and hours, but I want to be a little bit more sane in terms of maybe keeping it at 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, at least for the guest portion, because we're going to be looking at about 3 hours anyways. And once we go past that, then we're getting outside the realms of a normal radio show. Radio show is typically about 4 hours. Take away the commercials, you're looking at about 3. So I think 3 hours is a good show. But it also has to do with just me, not doing these 5-hour shows all the time and burning myself out. If I just do 3 hours, I can do more shows, which is always nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and use the bathroom. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Sorry. I'm going to go freshen up. Oh, I'm going to go put my powder on. And then once I do that, I'll come back. I got a lot to talk about. Oh boy. I got a lot to talk about. So a lot has happened. A lot is happening. And if you guys want to hop on, that's cool. If you just want to comment and ask questions in the chat, that's cool too. But we will be back very soon.
We are live!
Fuck, man, I'm so far out of fucking skill with this. I don't know what's up, I can't get it. I just can't land it. You're not recording right now, man?
Yeah.
Well, you're
I'm
right.
just gonna play that same round.
We are live!
What the fuck was that? Weird. Fuck it up.
Here I am left standing. I never had a gun. I'm still standing here now. Am I the only one? I can hear your footsteps. They always surround me. Just give me one good reason that I should believe. The end of days. Days. End of days. Days.
Radio
A
show! That's on!
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Let's see how it sounds.
And welcome back to the end of days. Oh, there I am. How you guys doing? What's shaking? What's cracking? Oh boy, that was a great interview. And if you notice, I did the mind-blowing moment of the day actually during the interview for the first time ever. So I hope you enjoyed that. The mind-blowing moment of the day was when Patriot told us that there were things going on in the higher levels of the O.T.O that seemed a little bit more like a MK Ultra type of scenario. That is terrifying. I just pooped my pants just from knowing that. So be careful of secret societies. I don't know if there's any actual O.T.O members that are going to be listening to this. I don't know if any secret society members listen to this show, but I imagine there probably are some people that become Freemasons and things of that nature. They tend to be sort of into magic and the occult and things like that. I mean, who knows ultimately, but a lot of people listen to the show. So anyways, I was watching the chat as we were doing the interview, and somebody had mentioned that Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock on stage live at the Oscars. So a little bit of a little bit of in the moment, on the spot news breaking out. This is WKN. Newsflash. Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock. And apparently Twitter is going crazy, so I'll have to check that out later. It sounds like one of those stage things, like, you know, they're trying to be funny or something like that, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have no clue. So you guys might have been wondering where I've been and why I haven't done a show for like the past month. I do apologize for that, but I have great reason. You see, I actually lost my job. Yeah, I actually was fired from my work. People that follow me on Twitter, you already know this, you already know the whole story, but I was told to take the vaccine. I declined and I was let go. It was very hard because I have to pay rent in Seattle and it's expensive. And I have other bills too. So it hit me pretty hard. And I've been pretty much just, luckily I will give credit. The company that let me go, they did make it right. So I'm not gonna go after them or talk smack about them or anything like that. But it was a big setback for me because I pretty much had to spend every spare moment the past month looking for work and selling some of my things and doing what I have to do to keep up with the ever increasing rent here in Seattle. It's a nightmare. I live in this place. And despite the fact that it looks pretty shitty, it's expensive. This place ain't cheap. Go figure, right? This crappy little apartment that stinks half the time, that barely has any lighting, and the plumbing sucks. The neighbors suck. Maybe I shouldn't say that on air. Oh well. But it sucks, and it's expensive as hell. So I do apologize. I know I said I was going to do all these shows, and I did. I did a lot of shows until my setback, but everything's okay now. I am employed again, thank God. So I wanted to thank everybody out there who prayed for me, everybody that sent me positive energy, everybody that supported me when I was going through this, because it wasn't easy. You know, standing up for what you believe in is not always easy, and there was times when I was just terrified and wondering if I was going to wind up on the streets with some of the other homeless people that live around here. You know, I see some pretty cool setups around here. I saw a tent that actually had a chimney in it made of foil. I was very impressed by that. I was like, oh my God, that looks more comfortable than my apartment. That's literally how much my apartment sucks. But with any luck, I'll be out of here and I'll be out of the city this summer. So I'm looking forward to that. But enough about me. Enough about me. I'm such a narcissist. As you know, we are at war. And as you know, we're sending tons and tons of money over to the Ukraine. And I get that this is a sensitive topic, but it's what's going on. I got to talk about it. I think it's disgusting, personally. My heart goes out to any Ukrainian people that are dealing with traumatic times. But like what Patriot was saying earlier, we're sending them all this money, and we don't even have money for ourselves. Come on. Why would we be doing that? Why are people opening up their homes to Ukrainians? Would they do that? Would they do that with Hispanics? Would they open up their homes? What about the wall and all that stuff, right? And all of a sudden, we're all pro Ukraine and we hate Russia. I don't hate Russia. I mean, as far as I can tell, that's all their business, right? The Rams. So the Super Bowl happened. We talked about the Super Bowl before it was going to happen, but we literally have not done a show since the last show, which was the show with Suki, which was a great show, by the way. If you haven't watched that, please go back and check that out. Suki is really a very kind person, and I've talked to her offline lots of times. She's very intelligent and has quite a bit to say. But I haven't really talked about the Super Bowl. And I know it's old news now, but look at what happened. I mean, the blue and the gold won. The Rams beat the Bengals. The Ram, which represents Aries, the god of war. And then the weird date rolls around, 2022, and it's on a Tuesday. And what happens the very next day? We go to war. We invoke the war god. We invoked Aries. And Snoop Dogg was wearing yellow and blue as well, but his blue, I believe, was a little bit lighter. It was more like the Ukrainian flag. And they beat the Bengals. So the Bengals, they might be like representative of tigers that live in China and Russia. So did we invoke the war god to defeat the Bengal, the Chinese financial system, or the Russian financial system? Since we're the West and we're NATO and the UN and we're the beast, or I'm not the beast, they are. I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ. I'm not the beast, they are. But what exactly was going on? I spent so much time after the Super Bowl, talking to some of my friends online and stuff, when we were saying, I don't know what it is. Like, I know that there is something there, but I'm not seeing it yet. The halftime show, I mean. I know that something happened. I'm not seeing it. Well, look at those white boxes that they were dancing around in. Don't those look like COVID quarantine camps? Yeah. But then later on, we came to find out that there was more going on there than we realized. So, like I was saying, when it first started, I was very much like, oh no, those poor kids, those poor Ukrainians. Russia's trying to expand. This sucks. But then, of course, the Twitter set in, and the truther bros and the truther sisses, they begin to fill me in on the truth that it isn't what it seems, that there are Nazis. And then as soon as I heard that, I mean, you guys know me. I'm the guy that's always saying the Nazis are behind everything. I was like, click, okay, it's on now. Now I got the truth again. So I don't support Nazism. I do support the Ukrainians that are good, but you heard what Patriot told us. You heard it here. You heard it on End of Days Radio. The black sun is rising, baby. It never went away. You know what happened after World War II? That's right. All the Nazis got away. We never got Hitler's body. Him and Mengele and all and I don't know which other ones, Rubles. They all went to South America. And they all, or Goebbels, I mean, not Rubles. Rubles is somebody else. I don't know what happened to him. But I know that Hitler and Mengele both went to South America. And they lived out their lives in peace. And a lot of other Nazis came over to our country and started the space program and the CIA and all that stuff. You know, Project Paperclip. Not only that, but the people that started World War II in the first place, I mean, it might have seemed like the Nazis were doing all that, but it was actually the world government who are Nazis themselves. They just don't wear that label, right? This is way deeper than I can even say on here. I can't even fill in all the details yet. I know more about this, but it goes deep. From feet angle flip. Thank God you have discernment and critical thinking. You know, that's key. That's key right there, because we're constantly being bombarded by new information. And I even feel like I'm behind the curve sometimes. I'm Daniel from End of Days Radio. I'm supposed to like know everything about this stuff and be the expert on all of this stuff. But there's times when I'm just like, what the hell's going on? I don't get it. Because that's literally how powerful the lies are out there. They're hard to see past. And when you are dealing with the situation where history itself has been upturned and rewritten, your perception in regards to everything is different. Like, I've been learning a lot of Black history, right? Like the Black Hebrews, they'll tell you everything's kind of whitewashed, and you know, you go and look at the other side, they'll tell you some things are washed in the reverse way. And I've come to find that a lot of what the Black Hebrews talk about is actually true, and that also ties into the Nazism, right? Because Nazism is a form of white supremacy, and because these people have been in control of the world for quite a long time. And I know there's people out there that are going to think I'm totally stupid for saying this, but hear me out. The people that have been in control of the world for a long time are not Jews. Does it say in the Bible that Jews are going to rule the world? No, it says false Jews, imposters, right? Imposters, false Jews. That means Jews are not the bad guy. And I don't know why so many people out there can't understand that. The problem is a lot of people actually believe these Nazi ideologies that were seeded, you know, way long ago, right? By the people that had the money. So a lot of people kind of believe this whole thing about, oh, the Jews, they're using Kabbalah on us. No, that could not be further from the truth. That's what's called like a treetop level truth, where you have much more to learn if you keep digging. So the false Jews, who are the false Jews other than the Nazis, right? The Ashkenazis, the Khazars, the people from the area of the Ukraine, right? And it's deeper than that. There's much more to it than that. But if you think that it's the Jews or it's the Vatican, you're wrong. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's a lot deeper than that. It's the Nazis, baby. It's the Nazis. They've got the base in Antarctica. They're in Hollow Earth. They are behind the fascism of the times and the white supremacy of the times. And of course, there's nothing at all wrong with being white. Don't get me wrong. I am a white man. I've got a little Asian in me, but I'm a white guy. But the truth is that the history of the black race has been oppressed and suppressed, and it's been obfuscated, and it's been swept under the rug. It all has to do with the Egyptians and the Cushites and anybody that would be considered a Kemite and their true history and what happened in the past. And this war that went on, like I think the guy's name is Matthew LaCroix or something like that. He talks about the snakes and the eagles. That's the direction that I'm headed in with this stuff. So we're talking about a long history of indigenous peoples, of dark-skinned peoples being sort of eliminated and wiped out. And they're not always dark-skinned. Some of them are white-skinned or light-skinned or whatever. But we're talking about a lot of cultures and tribes that were basically wiped out. And the Spanish Inquisition, and not the Spanish Inquisition, well, that too, sort of, but the conquistadors, right? That was a form of this, just like when the Native Americans were all wiped out. You see a lot of the same symbology that the Native Americans were using. You see that in the old world too, and there's a reason for that, because these tribes have always been around. These Teutonic sorts of cultures, and it happened to the Native Americans. Like I said, it's happening in Israel with the Palestinians. It's happened in Africa. It happens just about everywhere. People that are darker skinned being wiped out and genocided or experimented on by a ruling, hidden fascist power that remains behind the scenes of history. Like this skull and bones back here, that has something to do with it. The pirate ships, the slavers, Albert Pike. And I'm coming from, like, I swear to you, when I first got into this conspiracy stuff, I actually was convinced that the Nazis were fighting for truth and they're fighting against the evil Zionists and, that treetop level truth that I had found. But something didn't sit right with me about that stuff, right? And I just kept going, and I actually found out that there's conspiracy behind the conspiracy. Hitler was not a good man. He was not a hero. He was a fascist dictator. And if you think that he was somebody to idolize or look up to or admire, then you're twisted up. That's the truth. You're twisted up. I'm not saying that you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, because there's racism that black people have towards white people and stuff like that, and that's not good either. Of course, it's all wrong. But the fact of the matter is that the history of black people in general, Africans, it's been blown to bits. And all this Black Lives Matter and all this fake wokeness and all this, it's just so hypocritical when you really know what's going on. Because the truth is, they do not give a rat's ass about the truth. They don't give a rat's ass about helping black people rise up or anything like that. They hate black people. Do you see all those pictures of these Illuminati people? Not that they're the Illuminati, but the cabal, all these 13 families and people like that. Do you see any Chinese people, or do you see any Hispanic people? Do you see any Asians? No. What are your eyes telling you? What is your heart telling you? Oh, well, that's because they're 0.003% Jewish or something like that. No. Once again, we go to the Bible. The problem is false Jews. So use your logic, use your discernment. And this stuff going on in Ukraine, it's the same crap. It's the same ball of wax. I mean, Ukraine and Russia have their own history. I think you need to hop on Wikipedia or maybe something better to learn the history between these two countries before you start talking about it. Which brings me to my next subject. I have an announcement to make. Okay, so most people that listen to this show know that I was a huge Howard Stern fan. I was probably one of the biggest Howard Stern fans. I started this show because I idolized Howard Stern so much. And other shows, like I was really into Art Bell, but mostly is Howard Stern. I mean, the guy was pretty much my idol. I try to be like him. But I'm done. I am completely done with Howard Stern and the Howard Stern show. And I'll tell you why. I am sick and tired of hearing his crappy, underdeveloped, thoughtless, overly leftist, liberal, political, left slanted views on everything. I can't stand that shit. Howard Stern knows nothing about politics. He knows nothing about the world. He knows nothing about conspiracies. Yet he makes fun of us. He says that if you're into conspiracies, you're an idiot, that you're not smart like him. He literally lets Jimmy Kimmel, the Hollywood elite, the leftist liberal Hollywood people form all of his thoughts for him. He lets mainstream media form all of his thoughts for him. He's the biggest sheep in the entire universe. He is a sheeple through and through. He blue pills people. If you're starting to think outside the box and you listen to that idiot talk about politics and conspiracies and stuff like that, he's going to push you right back into the box. He literally dumbs down his listening base. He dumbs people down because he's a dumb fuck. He's a fucking retard. Oh, I can't say that word. He's a freaking idiot. That sounds too tame. He's a clown, right? He's a freaking clown. The guy has said more racist stuff than anybody I could think of. He's put blackface on. He used to have a ticker on his website counting down until Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen turn 18 because he wants to bang them. He used to always talk about wanting to bang Ashley Olsen. That's sick. That's pedophile stuff. It's disgusting. And how he treats people, right? Forget about the racist stuff. Forget about the anti-conspiracy stuff and the liberal fake wokeness. Forget all that stuff. I could actually put up with that stuff and still listen to Howard Stern and still be a fan of his and still like him. I'll tell you the straw that broke the camel's back. I'll tell you. So when I first started listening to Howard Stern, one of the reasons I started listening was because of Artie Lang. I just thought Artie was so funny. I watched Mad TV. I was a huge fan of Mad TV. I wasn't really aware of Artie, but I knew that he was from Mad TV. And I knew that he was funny as hell, right? I would always listen to his stories. He would give the show kind of like a true crime sort of Sopranos, sort of Goodfellas feel, I thought. And he never hesitated to kind of sacrifice himself and his own dignity and his own pride to make the show better. In fact, I remember several times where he was starting fights and just going crazy, and you could tell he was just trying to do it to please Howard. He looked up to Howard. He thought Howard was just... He'd always call Howard a great man. He'd say, "You're a great man. Howard's a great man." And I had a lot of respect for Artie. I had a ton of respect for Howard. So fast forward, people that are familiar with this, Artie had his issues. He was on drugs. Several people were saying that Howard was just exploiting Artie. He was using his illness and his addiction in order to create content for his show. And of course, Howard was really offended by that. But time went on, and there was a struggle. Artie was missing days of work, and Artie had tried to commit suicide. So obviously after that, Artie could no longer be on the show, right? And I know Howard visited him in the hospital. He was in communication. Everybody on the show was in communication. Everybody liked Artie. And then years went by, and suddenly something changed. And the Howard Stern show was no longer letting comedians come on, or no longer letting regular people come on. It turned into a thing where you have to be an A-lister, meaning you have to be the most popular people, the actors, actresses, people, singers, people like that. You have to be super freaking famous. Only the most famous people get to go on the Howard Stern show, which is completely contradictory to how the show had always been. And it's my understanding that Artie was included in this. He was considered not A-level, and he was not allowed to come on the show anymore. And Howard said something about, oh, I'm afraid that someone's going to say something to Artie. It's going to set him off or something like this. But I've heard Artie talk on other shows and on YouTube and stuff like that. And he says that he was basically cut off. He tried to go on the show to promote his latest book, and he was basically told it's not going to happen. And he was on the Stern show for what? Just a decade, over a decade, a really long time, right? He was on there for a really long time. And suddenly Howard just cuts him off. Why? He has plenty of time for Jimmy Kimmel, Jennifer Aniston, all those fake ass, Jerry Seinfeld, all those fake ass Hollywood people that he never gave two shits about before, until he married his new wife, who only cares about being famous and only cares about the money and the fame and meeting, rubbing elbows with popular celebrities because she wants to feel like she's famous too. The guy completely changed. He not only does he say the most stupid, annoying, offensive crap about people that are into conspiracies, people that are halfway intelligent, people that have discernment, people that have critical thinking skills, people that actually do their own research. Not only does he have a lot of disgusting things to say about us, about me. I know he knows who I am. I feel like some of those comments were directed towards me. Now, I can't prove that. I'm sure if anybody asked him, he'd be like, oh, who's that loser? No one listens to him. Nobody knows who he is. I'm sure he'd say something like that. But there are things that he was saying that sounded like he was talking about me. But whatever. That's that may or may not be true. But regardless of that, why do you suddenly start treating people like shit? You have all these different people that are going on podcasts, people that worked for Howard, Grillo, Ganji, Scott the Engineer, Billy West. They all say the same thing about him. They got ripped off. They weren't paid. They were basically exploited. And, they're the ones that are like Jackie the Joke Man. He's the one that's writing jokes for Howard. Artie's on there. He's being funny to make Howard's show better. All these whack packers and all these people in the back, they are the ones that are submitting content for the show. And to think that, at least in, I think it was Grillo's case, he wasn't even getting paid. He was just an intern, completely getting exploited. Same thing with Stuttering John. He felt totally like he was being exploited. And then he goes on Jay Leno, and Howard hates Jay Leno. He buries him. Jay Leno, who seems like a genuinely nice guy, Howard just reams him out, just tears his head off verbally. Howard was making fun of Gabrielle Sidibe, calling her fat, calling her disgusting. Why? Because she's different looking and she's popular and she's in the movies. You hate her? Why? What the hell did she do to you, Howard? Look at you. You look like a freaking pelican with a giant Adam's apple. And you're always talking about women's looks. And you're always talking about people's looks. And you're going to tell me I'm an idiot because I actually exercise discernment? You're going to tell me you want me to die because I don't want to take an experimental vaccine that has terrible side effects? Where do you get off saying this shit to people, you asshole? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your shitty show that's not even halfway entertaining nowadays. I fall asleep when I'm listening to it. It's literally that bad. It sucks. And you know why? It's because you were never the funny one. It was Jackie. It was Benji. It was Artie. It wasn't you, you lame ass poser. You suck. And your opinions suck. And you're an idiot. You know nothing about the world. You know nothing about the Illuminati. You know nothing about the cabal. So just shut the fuck up. Do us all a favor. Quit dumbing us down with your bullshit. Quit passing out blue pills to people. Quit acting like a friggin' pervert. Because that's what you are. You're a pervert. And I can't count the number. I cannot count the number of women that have gone on there and felt totally objectified by you. And all the terrible things that you've said about people. The terrible, awful, evil things that you have said about people. And your greed. There used to be all kinds of shows on your stations on Sirius. There was Jackie's Joke Hunt. There was the Intern Show. There was, I can't even name them all. There was Riley Martin. He passed on, but the old wrap-up show, which was way, way better. He got rid of all that stuff. And as he's getting rid of this stuff, as Sirius is getting rid of this stuff, Howard's paycheck just keeps going up and up and up. And he always talks about Private Parts. Private Parts was not a success. Private Parts was a huge failure. It was critically acclaimed, but it did awful in the box office. But Bongo Fiesta, Howard did not create that. He stole that from another radio show. He just straight up ripped it off. Wendy, the babysitter. A lot of people think she started on Howard Stern. Nope, she started off on another radio show. Yet he's always quick to say that he created everything. And Jay Leno rips him off, and this person rips him off, and that person rips him off. I'm asking myself, why did I ever let this man have such an effect on me? Why did I ever care what this man thought about anything? Why did I ever give two craps about this guy who does nothing but put me down? Who does nothing but put everybody else that believes the same things that I believe down? When was the last time you heard Howard Stern talk about God? And he can't have Artie on. Why? Because Artie's more like a normal person, and he's not Jimmy Kimmel. Your best friend, Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel. Fuck Jimmy Kimmel. Fuck Jimmy Kimmel and fuck you. And he's always talking about how great Israel is. Israel. They've got a full-blown genocide going on. And he's always praising them. Oh, they're all alone out there. Everyone's trying to kill. No. That's not objective. Objective would be saying it's a terrible situation for both sides. But no, you always have to be pro-Zionism, pro-Israel. And you actually got plastic surgery on your face? You're that insecure that as an old man, you're going to go get your nose shaved down? Dude, really? And I'm supposed to care about what you think? Because you're a genius? A genius at what? At ripping people off? About you're a genius at forming a narrative that makes you seem like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread? It's Sirius is even worse. There's nothing on Sirius. There's nothing. You pay $15 a month for what? There's better stuff on YouTube. There's better stuff on TuneIn Radio. There's better stuff on iHeartRadio. There's better stuff on HBO Max. Better stuff on Netflix. Better stuff on everything. There's better free stuff than anything on Sirius. It's a ripoff. Everybody listens to podcasts. Podcasting are the feature. What we're doing right here, this is the thing, and this is the feature. What Howard's doing is like Betamax or Laserdisc. And why am I going to listen? So I can hear him get Sal and Richard to act like monkeys and make people laugh, or get JD to do that weird thing he does when he talks and make people laugh. Once again, he's just using other people to make himself funny. And the guy is a dictator. He's a bully. He's an asshole. He's mean. He's nasty. He's bitter. He's crazy. He's a germaphobe. He left his wife for a model, and his daughters are still mad about it. The dude's disgusting. On every level, he is disgusting. I used to want so bad to go on his show. Right? I thought like somehow I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do one of the contests. Somehow I'll get Howard's attention. Somehow I'll go on there. Now that's literally the last thing I'd ever want to do. If they asked me to go on that show, I'd say, fuck you, Gary. Fuck you, Baba Bowie. Fuck you, especially Howard Stern. You freaking pervert. Shame on you. Shame on everything that you have done to society. Does anybody even listen to him anymore? I've heard like he doesn't even have 1 million people listening to each one of his shows. Joe Rogan's got like 8 million. Howard Stern's got like 300,000, maybe 1 million tops. He literally went to Sirius and fell off the map. Why would I look up to this guy? You know, it's like we all just sort of saw him as a hero or an anti-hero. He was standing up to the FCC. He was standing up for our rights. And then he's telling us if we don't get vaccinated, we deserve to die. Like he sounds like he wants to murder us. Kind of like what happens to the Palestinians, right? Fuck you, Howard. I'm not afraid of you. You old man, you bitch. I'm not afraid of you. Nobody is. Sorry, I guess I've just woken up. I've woken up. I see the guy for who he really is. I see how much he's changed. Now, Artie Lang, this guy that loves him, devoted so much of his life to him because he's a bitter, conceited, egomaniac dictator. He can't let Artie come on there for 10 minutes to say hi and plug his book. If anybody can't see through all that stuff, you know, I've argued with some of his fans about this. I've said that this is screwed up, and they have every excuse in the books. And then they start getting mad, and then they start like actually harassing you because these are the types of people that listen to Howard Stern. They're like practically white trash terrorists. If you say something they don't like, they try to destroy your life. Stern Fan Network, the things that went on there in the past. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm changing, I guess. I feel attacked by him. I do. Like, you know, I hate Alex Jones. I don't give a fuck about Alex Jones. But when he talks about Alex Jones, I feel like he's talking about me. A guy who literally idolized him for most of my adult life. And that's that. I have to be honest. I'm not looking up to Howard anymore. I'm not trying to be like him. I found that the less I can be like him, the better. The more I can just do my own thing and not try to. I think that crap he does is boring. It's lowest common denominator type stuff. It's poo pee pee humor, right? It's like, oh, I pulled my dick out. That's funny. No, that's not funny. It's gotten old. It got old a long time ago. You aren't extreme anymore, Howard. You're not shocking. You're not uncensored. You're lame. You're overly liberal. You're crazy and OCD like Howard Hughes, the other Howard. You've become Howard Hughes. You've become a hybrid between Howard Hughes and Don Imus. It's true. Oh, it's true. You've literally become what you hate, as uttered by what was his name? Imran Khan lives with his dad and mom. He got so mad. Hansi. He told off Howard so good, and I wish more people would do that. And if Artie can do it, and Southern John can do it, and Jackie can do it, and Billy West can do it, then I can do it too, and we can do it, and you can do it. Speaking of Billy West, you guys know he was on Futurama, right? There's a part in Futurama where, you know, the main character Fry, he gets up and he randomly says, Howard Stern is overrated. That was Billy West taking a shot at Howard. Yeah. So this whole thing has been going on a long time. I know him and I know his wife Beth is super into helping animals. I think that's awesome. I love animals. I'm a big animal lover myself, but I think she just does that so that nobody will call her a gold digger. I'm not saying she's not a nice person. You know, she's very pretty. She seems very sweet, but the guy made a movie about sticking with his wife, and then during the movie, or right afterwards, however that worked out, he literally leaves his wife. It makes no sense. But that's just me, right? That's just me. That's me growing as a person, stepping out of my old self that thought that sort of stuff was cool and just realizing it's not cool. You might have noticed I've changed over the years. You don't hear me doing a lot of like sexual type of humor. You don't hear me using a lot of bad language anymore. You could probably tell that back when I first started doing this, I thought Howard Stern was the way to be. And if you want to be successful in radio, you follow his game plan. But if that was true, Joe Rogan wouldn't be so big. He wouldn't be 8 times bigger than Howard. And he does a show that's not, I'm not a huge Joe Rogan guy, don't get me wrong, but his show is completely different than Howard Stern's. And I think Howard Stern is very jealous of Joe Rogan. He says, Joe doesn't want to come on here because he's butthurt because I said something about him. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe he doesn't want to go on there because he thinks you're a dick and he doesn't need you. Maybe he knows he's bigger than you. And you're looking up at him now. Is that why you only have A-listers on your show? Howard, you are literally just copying Joe Rogan. And you're trying to have big celebrity interviews to draw everybody in like he does. That's not original. That's not creative. You literally noticed how well he was doing and decided to adopt the exact same game plan. And Marcy Turk, who is Marcy Turk? The person that changed everything, right? She's this woman that came in and she took Gary's office and she took over the whole show. And she made everybody start dressing in a dress code. And she's behind a lot of this A-lister only stuff. This woman must be the devil incarnate. I don't know much about her. I know rumor is she had some kind of relations with one of the interns on the show or something like that, which is disgusting. It's disgusting and trashy and weird. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen the Pelican briefing, where it's like Howard going up and he's laying out his whole plan to have celebrities on and all this stuff, this and that. And he's trying to act like he's Tony Robbins or he's some kind of big CEO or something like that. He looks like a dork. He looks like a complete asshat. And he's just basically saying, well, we got to copy Joe Rogan from now on. This guy's supposed to be a genius? Why did I ever think he was a genius? Because he called himself a genius? Is that what this is all about? Just hyping yourself up? Oh, I'm Daniel. I'm the man. I invented everything. I'm the funniest man alive. I'm the most creative. Now let's get some strippers in here. Let's get somebody to pull their dick out. It's childish. It's childish. People that listen to my show are intelligent. They are free thinkers. They are not sheeple. People that listen to my show actually do research and are interested in becoming enlightened. This isn't the lowest common denominator listening to this shit. This is people that are awake and aware. I don't look up to Howard Stern. I look down at him. He's beneath me. He's a fool. He's a sheep. He's in the Matrix. He wants to give you the blue pill. And it's up to you whether you want to take it. Okay, let's move on. I've been talking about this way too long. So, as many of you might be aware, I am a wrestling fan. By the way, where's everybody at? Let's see, we got a comment here. Wolf said, I don't know a lot about his show, aside from all the objectifying stuff. But man, his tweets alone show how much of a bigoted idiot he truly is. Exactly, amen. He gets away with it. He gets away with what Don Imus or Roseanne Barr were not able to get away with. You may like Bill Cooper if you haven't heard his old radio shows. Yeah, I love Bill Cooper. I read his book, Behold a Pale Horse, and just mind-blowing stuff. It's all playing out right now. All the FEMA stuff and all that. It's literally happening right now. You're right, Dan. Oh, there's Fitness Frank. Yeah, see, Fitness Frank, he agrees with me. He's kind of from that. Well, I don't know if he's from that world, but I met Fitness Frank over on the Kermit and Friends podcast, and we sort of, I guess we kind of hit it off a little bit. But he does these comedy videos where he's like lifting weights and stuff like that. They're pretty funny, so check him out on YouTube. But like I said, I'm done with all that Howard Stern stuff. I think he's gonna retire soon. I wish he would have retired a long time ago. Howard, please retire. Do us all a favor. We're tired of your moronic mouth. We don't care about your opinions. You sound like an idiot. So just please retire. Go spend the rest of your years with that young wife of yours who you dote over and obsess with all day long. You're so obsessed with her. You're so pathetic, putting this woman on a pedestal like she's not just a human being like you or me. You literally worship her graven image. Because she's beautiful, you worship her. Are you kidding me, dude? You have no integrity. You fucking loser. You piece of shit, satanic, atheist, piece of garbage. What does Howard always say? There's no God. When you die, you just lay in the ground and worms eat your brains. No, Howard, that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to lay in the ground and worms are going to eat your brains. I'm heaven sent, baby. I'm going upwards. You might be going down. I think we all know that based on the things that you have done and the things that you have said and the fact that you're one of the most godless people out there. You'd think that because you're Jewish, you would have some kind of deep philosophical understanding of God, but you don't, because you don't really care about true Hebrewism or what goes on behind it or the religion itself. You don't care one bit about it. The only thing you care about is filling your pockets with lots of money and making your fat head even bigger and bigger and getting attention. And you've said yourself, Howard, you said, oh, I wish I was a woman. I wish I was the woman that everybody looks at when they enter the room, because your psychiatrist told you that. So you go on the radio and you embarrass yourself telling everybody you want to be a woman. Kind of like you dress like one on your private parts book. You and the rest of the staff are dressed like a female, and that's not the first or last time you've done that, is it? Something's going on with this guy. When he has George Takei in studio and George Takei is grabbing guys' dicks and doing stuff like that, Howard gets a little too into that stuff. Something's wrong there. And if he's gay, power to him. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do think that he's hiding something. I mean, anybody that has that much gay stuff going on and is trying to coerce people into sticking fingers in butts and sucking each other's dicks and stuff like that, that's so homoerotic and so, so closeted. Like, everybody's so afraid to go after this guy. I'm not. I'll be your Huckleberry. I know Howard's too old to take me on. I know he's not going to mention me or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying for. I'm just being honest. The guy's an asshole and a piece of shit. I'm not trying to start a beef with him. I'm not that stupid. I know he'll never acknowledge me. But that doesn't stop me from coming on here and telling everybody what I think about him and how I don't give a fuck about his show or going on his show. Fuck you, Howard Stern. If that's even your real name. What was I going to do again? Oh, yeah. So, as you guys know, I am a pro wrestling fan and kind of had a cool moment today because, as you know, WrestleMania is coming up and Johnny Knoxville is going to be wrestling Sami Zayn. And he's doing this whole angle. And apparently he put Sami Zayn's phone number on Twitter. Sometimes celebrities do that. They'll put their phone number up. So I see the number up. I just call it like right away. I'm expecting to get an answering machine, and I'm expecting to get hung up on or something. But all of a sudden, Sami Zayn answers. I'm like, "Hi, is this Sammy?" He goes, "Yeah." He sounds tired. Like he probably has thousands of people calling him. I don't even know what to say. I'm just awestruck. Because Sami Zayn's one of my favorite wrestlers. He's so funny and like consistently funny all the time. And those dances that he does and his whole Che Guevara type of gimmick he's doing right now, it just cracks me up. And all of a sudden, I'm on the phone with him, and like I felt like I was supposed to be mean. I was supposed to say like, "Oh fuck you, you're gonna lose that WrestleMania, you douchebag," or something like that. But I couldn't. All I could think of was just I love the guy. So I was like, "Oh hey, good luck at WrestleMania." And he just says, he sounds so tired. He goes, "Thank you." And then I just started cracking up laughing, and then I hung up. But that was pretty cool, considering the guy's probably got thousands of people calling him, and he picked up on me, and I got to start my day with a very short conversation with Sami Zayn. So a big shout out to that guy. I do think he's one of the best pro wrestlers out there, and I think he should be the champion. And you know, whatever I can say to use my platform to put him over or talk about how great he is, then I'm going to do that, because I think he's freaking amazing. And it was a pleasure to talk to him, and I'd rather talk to a guy like that than somebody like Howard Stern any day. Even Vince Russo. Vince Russo has given up on Howard Stern. He straight up says, "That's not the same guy. That's not the guy that I listened to all those years and helped kind of inspire the Attitude Era and all that." He's a big Stern fan. He's up to date on all this stuff. He's disgusted with Howard. He even has some of Howard's ex-staff who left the show on his channels. So he's totally like on the same page as me. He knows Howard sucks now. Sorry, but it's true. He knows the guy changed. He knows he's a total libtwat, and he knows that he goes too far with some of these things that he's saying. And that's not it either. There's other people that are totally off that bandwagon, and power to them. I don't want to be on air forever. We're going on 3 hours. Okay, we got some time. Joe Biden, who I actually found out some information about that I did not know. I did not know that he had 2 brain surgeries, and that's a lot of the reason why he can't seem to talk. He can't seem to form proper sentences, and he says wrong things, and he makes mistakes all the time. He recently visited some soldiers, and he was sitting down with them, getting to know them, and interestingly enough, eating pizza with them, right? So I'm sure all of my listeners are aware of Pizzagate. So why is Joe Biden sitting down with these soldiers and eating pizza with them and smiling? Is he trying to tell us something? Is a pizza just a pizza? But the funny part, and I'm sure a lot of you have already checked this out on social media and whatnot, but some of the guys are just looking at him like, what the fuck? They're giving him this look like they're looking at an alien, and they very well might be. Because these guys in the military, they're probably MAGA, and they're probably QAnon, and they probably know all the latest rumors and gossip. And here's Joe Biden sitting with them at lunch, munching down a pizza with this friggin' chameleon reptilian look on his face, just scarfing down the cheese and the sauce. That is some funny shit. But it's also not funny in the sense that pedophilia and Pizzagate are very real. And more stuff is coming out about Hunter Biden, that laptop. I don't know if these pictures are photoshopped or they're fake or what, but that's some sick stuff. I want to unsee a lot of these things I've seen come off of Hunter's laptop. And not only is he messing around with kids, but the rumor is that I think Joe Biden's daughter or niece or something was like having to take showers with him or something like that. And this is just rumors I don't know if are true, so don't quote me on any of this stuff. But I just wanted to kind of fill you guys in that this is what the cabal literally does, because they're all witches. They're witch covens. So in witch covens, you have a lot of incest and you have a lot of pedophilia. And these things go hand in hand in these covens. And a lot of times somebody's father will also be their brother, or they'll be their cousin, or your mother will be your sister and your aunt. And there's all kinds of creepy stuff going on like that with these elite aristocratic, witch families that are tied to Freemasonry and whatnot, and the bloodlines, the 13 bloodlines. Some sick stuff. But it's all par for the course. Everything Hunter's doing, everything Joe Biden's doing, stuff that you hear about Hillary doing, nasty stuff that Clintons are involved in, it's all par for the course. You hear about a lot of gay stuff and orgies happening at Bohemian Grove. And that's what Satanists or Luciferian witches are all about. They're all about orgies, child molestation, incest. They can't get enough of it. And they want to actually make the rest of society like they are, like what they do in their own homes and they cover up. They are trying to push us in that direction. They want pedophilia and incest to be in every home. If they can make that happen, then that will make them very happy. Now, why? That's an interesting question. I know that's probably not going to make sense to anybody, but this is some serious demonic shit. So you get the idea, right? It's not just human. It's just the worst expression of consciousness and negative vibration and chaos just coming through the cracks in our reality. And these people, they're in control in a sense, but not really, because we know that God is in control and nothing so vile and nasty could possibly rule us. But that's really what's going on with the Biden family and several other families, wealthy families, celebrities. It's the same thing that's going on with a lot of celebrities, incest, pedophilia. And they don't talk about it because it's embarrassing. Who wants to admit that their uncle is their brother or their sister is also their second cousin, et cetera, et cetera. It's humiliating. Who would want to think of themselves like that? But it definitely does go on. And why do I know this? Well, because I've watched interviews with people that come out of satanic covens and cults, sacrificial cults and stuff like that. And I've interviewed people and I've read stuff, and you do that enough and you kind of start to get an idea of what's going on. You get an idea that it's just like pedophilia everywhere, pretty much. Well, you always you always kind of get there, which is sick. But it's another one of these reasons why I'm a Christian, and I am I don't judge people for what sort of sexual stuff that they're into or what they're doing, but I myself would never go in the direction of any of that stuff, because I just look at it like a slippery satanic slope where you get into some kind of weird crap like furries or some of these sexual fetishes and stuff like that, and next thing you know, it doesn't please you anymore, and you just need more porn and more orgies, and you just keep going with it, and you don't have any limits, so eventually you get around to kids. Isn't that kind of how it works? Or people just into kids from the start? I don't know, but I just think that all that stuff is corruptible. It's just all kind of toxic to you, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not judging anybody, but I'm just saying that there's some real perverted stuff going on out there, and it's turning into this is normal. I mean, the guy that gets to go into the women's changing room, and he's just like a hairy dude with a bow tie, and he's sitting there jerking it to the women that are just trying to change and mind their business, and women are getting raped in those changing rooms and those bathrooms and stuff like that. I think a little girl got raped by a guy that was saying he was trans or something like that. I mean, God bless those transgender people, and their issues and whatnot, but come on, little girls are getting raped and you're gonna not do anything about it? This stuff it's not for me. I can say that much. I'm not into anything like that. I think that most people have the potential to engage in perverse behavior like that, but I think most people are just going to kind of say, hey, this doesn't feel right, this is wrong, this is not my true nature. whereas others are going to feel like, hey, this is great. I mean, this is like so different, and I'm getting off so much, and it's really just kind of a selfish thing, right? Like, why would you molest a child or engage in pedophilia or anything like that? You would just literally have to not give a crap about another person or what it's doing to them or how it's damaging them. And then everybody's so afraid. They're afraid to stand up to the swimmer that wins the women's swim championship, or they're afraid to stand up to any of them because they don't want to get called a bigot, or they don't want to fall on the wrong side of society. Yeah, that's and you know what? You're better off not even talking about any of this stuff. That's the truth. It's all a big honeypot. Like they want you to talk about this stuff. They want you to talk about it till it's ad nauseum and it gets just boring. They want you to argue and argue and argue and distract you with the guy in the skirt or the woman with the penis. That she's waving her penis in your face, hypnotizing you, and you're just following along, right? Regardless of what side of the issue you're on, that's what you're paying attention to. Instead of what's going on behind the curtain, instead of the fact that hyperinflation is going on, right? You're talking about transgender females, meanwhile hyperinflation is going on, and you don't understand why. See how this works? And then people get mad at me. Why are you saying to not talk about this stuff? Don't you see what they're doing? How could you not? You're joining their side. You don't want me to. No, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, if you keep talking about this, you're gonna die on that hill, right? They're gonna just use it to pull you in, to trigger you, and gaslight you and make you angry, so that they can, in the future, give you a low credit score. Or right now, they're gonna deplatform you and label you a bigot and ban you off of social media and do things to make you a little bit less happy, right? So my advice to everybody out there is to just not even talk about any of this stuff. Don't talk about trannies. Don't argue about them. Don't even give your opinion. Don't even have an opinion. Why? You're not going to stop what's going on. You're not going to reverse it. You're not going to save all these kids from having to do rainbow pride readings or whatever the hell's going on in those classrooms. If you want to do something good, pull your kids out of school, homeschool them, homestead, homeschool. Don't sit there and complain and go on social media, which is on the internet. Who invented the internet? DARPA, Al Gore, but DARPA created the internet, right? So it was literally invented by the shadow government. And the computer itself was invented by who? Nazis. See where I'm headed with this? It's literally the evil side, the dark side, that created all this machinery that you're on. The beast, technocratic beast system is all them. So you think you're going to go on the device that they created, the Apple iPhone with the picture of the bite taken out of the back. You think you're going to go on their technology and you are going to reverse everything that they're doing through their own tools, through the stuff that they own and they control. You think that you're going to make a difference by using these things because you're such a badass rebel and you're this hardcore activist and you're so smart, you're going to somehow use the art of war and use their tools and weapons against them, and you're going to reverse everything and you're going to rewrite the internet. It's for the light, right? No, I'm sorry, son, it doesn't work that way. What's going to happen is you're just going to get shadow banned and you're not even going to know what's going on, and you're going to get funneled, and you're only going to be talking to the people that have the same opinion as you, and you're not going to do a damn thing about it, because that's literally all that social media is. It's social engineering. So when you think you're being a badass and you've got all these other people egging you on, meanwhile you're literally just being completely 100% controlled by them and redirected into a ditch, into a dead end. You're being redirected into a dead end. That's the truth. And I've literally had these people, I don't know who they are, they're reptilians or they're agents or they're demons or whatever. I've had them contact me over social media and mock me and tell me, Daniel, what you think? They're telling me the same thing I'm telling you now. It's their system. They created it, and I'm a laughing stock for thinking that I can use their system to destroy them or to counter their movements here in the real world. Not that this world is real, but you know what I mean. They literally tell me that. They send me messages over social media. That's not all that they tell me either. I'm not one of them. I'm not an agent. I'm nothing like that. I'm just a guy that they fuck with because of what I'm doing. And I don't know why they don't just kill me. I don't. I think they get off on doing this to me. I do. I think they literally toy with me and consider me no threat at all and enjoy watching me chase my tail and dig into all these conspiracies and dig into this stuff, not really being able to do a damn thing about it. I think that's the truth. I don't think I'm a threat. I don't have any smoking gun information. There's nothing I can do about it. And it's not to say that we should give up or we should not fight back or anything like that. And there's something to be said for the people that are saying, hey, look, there's nothing we could do. I mean, I'm sorry, that are saying that we need to do something about it ourselves, that no one's going to come and save us, no one's going to help us, no one's going to rescue us. I totally get that perspective. I think that we do have to do it ourselves, but I think that there's something more powerful that's in control, that's always been in control. Like, forget the internet. We have an ability to communicate with higher realms. The internet is an artificial, fake version of our own psychic senses and the network of goodness and spirituality that truly binds us all together in that higher fifth dimension, right? So we're already all connected. We're connected by love and by God. And this internet and all these things, these celebrities, these are all fake and artificial. So that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it like, oh, we got to do something. No one's going to come in to rescue us. I look at it more like we've already won, right? And these people doing these things are the clowns. They are the fools. They are the pedophiles. They are the vile idiots that are embarrassing themselves by engaging in this stuff. That's how I look at it. I think that's a much healthier way to look at it. And I do believe that Christ is coming back. I don't see any other way to get out of this mess besides with the King of Kings and God coming down here in the flesh and saying, what the fuck are you guys doing? Not that he would say that word, but he's just going to look at him and shake his head and be like, nope. And they're going to know. They're going to see him standing there and they're going to think, oh man, we messed up. We thought we were going to win this. Satan, he was so powerful. He lent us his strength. He lent us his demons. All we had to do was diddle these kids, and Satan made us so powerful. And here we are standing before the Lord, and we're nothing compared to him. That's the truth. Fuck Howard Stern. He's a Satanist. Okay, so moving on. Not a whole lot of, I haven't been on air in a while, and I didn't really hype this show as much as I should have, so it's just me right now. Nobody's hopping on the line. Nobody's getting on cam. It's just me. I'm sure once we get back in the swing of things, we'll get our roundtables going again. But I do ask that people please stop gossiping about me. I know that there's a lot of people out there talking about me and saying negative things. I'm not an agent. I'm not a Satanist. I'm not a jerk. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a vampire. What else do they say? I'm not a hobbit. I'm not a clone. So get that through your heads. Yeah. Other thing I want to talk about. I gotta save some of this stuff. I have too much. And I don't like just going on and on by myself like this. I know it just kind of drags on. I like to break things up into segments and have multiple personalities come on and bring people on to discuss things with me, because I know it gets old just listening to me ramble on. It's like an everlasting monologue. And I do not fault anybody for getting bored with that, because I know, but I try to do my best here, and I still have some things to talk about. So I wanted to kind of talk about some of the racism I've been seeing. I know I already talked about race a little bit earlier, but there's something in particular that I observe that really has been bothering me lately, and I'm going to explain why. It's when people take like these videos of a black person, of an African person, like let's say they're having a bad day and they're acting out in public, or they're having some kind of breakdown, or there's some kind of violence going on. When they take these cherry picked videos of colored people, BIPOC people, um, colored people, whatever word you use for them, when they take these videos and then post them online, and it's done in a way where they're trying to get other like conservative people to say racist things, if that makes sense. Like you can tell why the person is posting this video. Like they're trying to get all the people that agree with their sort of philosophy towards black people. They're trying to get them all riled up and angry. And the person that's posting this video might not be saying anything racist, but their intention by posting this cherry picked video. And I used to like watch these things and like read the comments and stuff like that, but it just started disgusting me lately because I'm more aware of what's going on, and I'm more aware of how racist the shadow government is, and I'm more aware of how racist people are in general. And I'm seeing this, and it reminds me of a lynching. It literally does. You have all these people coming into the thread saying these terrible things, the stereotyping that's going on. Meanwhile, that I went down to the black neighborhood in Seattle, and nobody was doing anything like that. They were just walking down the street and doing normal things and waving, and they weren't all hurting each other or attacking white people or Asian people or anything like that. It's literally cherry picked stuff. And then they'll say, well, okay, look at the stats. Look at how much violence takes place in the black community, or how much violence is being done by black people. But see, those types of hate stats, those can be used both ways. Okay, so there's a lot of black on black gun violence. What about adult male on child Caucasian pedophilia? Why are pedophiles always white people? It can be used both ways. You can make any race of people look bad by cherry picking and using hate stats. You can literally do that to any race, any culture, any group of people. So why is it going on social media? And these people doing it are going to say that they're not racist? No, they're hella racist. They're very racist. It's racist. It's racism. It's not funny. It's not okay. Stop. Who do you think you're fooling? You're not fooling me, and you're not fooling anybody else. You're racist. You are racist. Stop being fucking racist. You're not fooling anybody. It's what you cannot see that is the problem. Get it? Not see? I don't like that shit. Do you know what it means to be a BIPOC person? And why that whole BIPOC movement started? Like, I don't care for the BLM thing, but I do like the BIPOC thing, because they say that they're all about solidarity, and it's not necessarily what race that you are a member of. It's the fact that you are able to discern and point out this oppression and these genocides that have been going on all throughout history. And I live in Seattle. I mean, I don't like it here. It's a hellhole. But one good thing about it is very racially diverse. I can't imagine having a racist thought in my head out here. I can't. I wouldn't be able to function that way. And I think a lot of people that do have these feelings, I think they're coming from predominantly white areas, like the Midwest and the South. And that's not to stereotype people in the opposite way either. But if people are talking about a race of people that's been denigrated and put down enslaved and abused, and you suddenly shift the conversation to another group that is being likewise offended in some way, that's not right. You're redirecting the focus. And by doing that, you are being disrespectful towards the first group that we were talking about. It's just another one of those little things that people they can't see their own racism. They can't look in the mirror and see the hate that's inside of them. When you free yourself from that hate, oh, you will feel so good. If you can expulse, if you can clear that toxicity out of your system, you will be born again. You will be born anew. I guarantee it. Because those feelings do not have any place in the mind of a child of the Most High. And that's the truth. It's not about any race of people or religion being superior or anything like that. You know, it works both ways. It's about truth, and it's about solidarity, and it's about going further than just skin deep in your interactions with other human beings. Like I've talked to people who literally think that there are races of people that are likewise to animals, and that's terrible. How could you allow yourself to be propagandized like that, to let yourself be turned into a hateful monster in that way? You got to get to know different types of people, and you got to embrace other types of cultures. And that's when you grow as a person. You're not growing by staying in your little bubble and being xenophobic. You grow by getting outside of your comfort zone, embracing new ideas of different cultures. And I think it takes a person that's a little bit more intelligent to be able to do that. It takes brain power to be able to get past that stuff and rise above it. That's the key word. The key phrase here is rising above it, because you know it's there and it might always be a part of you, but you can rise above it. Just like all those demonic voices in your mind that are telling you to do terrible things, you can rise above those. You don't have to give in to that lower vibration. A lot of race type of stuff on the show in this episode. It's just on my mind. I'm sorry. It's been like a month. My life has gone to shit. I think I'm gonna call it quits right there. Talk about Mo Othman. So I better get into this. So Mo Othman, I've been talking about him and his predictions for a little while on this show, and I got to bring this up because I was really hoping that his Super Bowl prediction would come true, but the opposite happened. And I got to have integrity. I got to tell you guys that I'm done with him too. I'm done with him. I don't think that his information is accurate. I don't think that he's an insider like he portrays. I don't think that I don't think any of his predictions are real. I don't think they come from the Illuminati. I don't even think he knows what the Illuminati really is. I don't think he knows anything about that stuff. I think he tries to portray himself as an insider, like he's part of the Illuminati or he's one of these people, but that Super Bowl prediction was really wrong. And he was very sure about it. And that's not the first time he's gotten something wrong. So I've pretty much lost any respect for his predictions or any hope for him, or I don't see him as an authority or an insider or anything like that. I unfollowed him and I'm pretty much done with all of his material. I think he's completely full of it. He might be connected to something. He might be a disinformation agent spreading disinfo. But there's no way I can prove or disprove any of that. I just know his predictions suck. And I'm a guy that has actually had real predictions come my way and actually seen them play out. And I know a fraud when I see one. And I apologize for ever even encouraging anybody to follow that guy or listen to anything that he says. I gotta be, like I said, be a man of integrity and just say, no, he doesn't have the real stuff. That's that. Boy, I'm sweating like a pig in here. I'm looking at myself on cam. It's not like it got any hotter in here. what, by getting angry and moving around, am I creating some kind of fission or fusion or something? I don't know. I gotta get out of here. I do. I came on here and I spoke out against racism, and I talked about how much I dislike Howard Stern. I could go on about that all day, but I'm willing to bet that most people that listen to my show don't listen to Howard Stern. And to me, that's something to be proud of, because, again, his listeners are people that would probably be in prison, or be pedophiles, or be drug addicts, or just be plain old white trash, or trash. Not that trash always has to be white, but I'm proud that that's not my crowd, and I've really further defined myself as somebody that doesn't vibe with that. And I canceled my Sirius membership, if they'll even let me cancel. I just stopped paying. Keep getting emails from them saying that I still have it. I don't listen to it. There's nothing on there. If they offered me a contract to go work at Sirius, I'd say no thanks. Because podcasting is the future, not Betamax, not Laserdisc. Nobody's going on to Sirius. People are just quitting Sirius and coming off of there. That tells you how big of plans that they have. Basically, once Howard retires, I think that whole thing is just going to go under. I'm serious. Anybody that has any investment in it will get out, and they'll probably sell it, and then whoever buys it will probably just let it die. There's no satellites. Earth is flat. I don't know how they've been sending that signal out, but again, just another example of Howard Stern blue pilling his listeners, putting them back into the matrix. And instead of talking about intelligent things like the Illuminati, or, hidden technology or ancient history, he's talking about penises and farts and hot chicks. Like his whole life is consumed by women and their level of attractiveness. And if they're not attractive and up to his standards, he calls them pigs. And, he's just the most misogynistic, Me Too, sexually harassing, perverted, narcissist, egomaniac, just a vile human being, son of Satan, son of Lucifer, just disgusting man. His own daughters can't stand him. Well, I don't know how they feel about him, but they have a lot of things to say about him. All his former friends are disgusted by him. Artie Lang is disgusted by him. Artie Lang's podcast is better than Howard Stern's current show. How many times are you going to hear Howard do the same bits over and over again? Please, that stuff was funny back in 1999. It's just sad to see your heroes and your idols be exposed and see who they really are. And it's my fault. I should have never been so invested in the guy, but I can say that. You know what? I got to share one more thing. So one of the things that woke me up is somebody pointed it out to me. They're like, why are you so into Howard? Why does he have so much power over your life? And I thought to myself, I was like, man, this person's right. That's the truth. Why does this guy have so much of an effect and so much power over my life? He's a piece of shit. I've been following the wrong heroes. I've been following the wrong lead. I should have been looking up to somebody like Abe Lincoln, not Howard Stinkton. You know what I'm saying? I should have been looking up to people with integrity and morals. People that I should have been looking up to great men, real great men, not a perverted shock jock who's so screwed up. He thinks germs are gonna eat him alive the second he walks outside of his house. Who's so screwed up, he pretends like his wife Beth doesn't poop. That's how messed up this guy is. He has to pretend like she doesn't poop. People poop. The fact that she poops, or even if you heard her poop, isn't going to make any difference in your lives. It's you, Howard. You have to see her as perfect, and that is sick. That's you and your insecurity. And it's disgusting. You have no idea how much of a fool you make yourself out to be to the whole world. And you've been doing this your whole life. You're a disgrace. And I'm ashamed that I ever was into your shit. I think you owe Artie Lang an apology, a big apology. There's no way you can say that you're right in regards to this. People can make up excuses all day. There's no way you can say that you're in the right. What you did and what you're doing is wrong, period. It's wrong. You are in the wrong, and what you're doing is wrong, period. So go fuck yourself, Howard. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about Howard Stern again. I'm done with him. But I hope that you will join me next time on the next episode of End of Days Radio. Until then, I will catch you on the flip side.